Well, we're on case 9 of Sherlock, right, Mark?
What's that?
Case 9, right?
Yes, we are on case 9 of Sherlock. The Solicitor's... Solicitor? Is that really?
The Solicitor.
The Solicitous Solicitor. Yeah, this cursive is not the easiest to read. Alright. Are y'all ready for...
Did you already upload the times?
I uploaded it, like, weeks ago, when I thought we were going to do it, and then
December 8th.
Yes.
He been ready.
I have been ready.
We are good then.
Cool. Alright. Case 9. The Solicitous Solicitor.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun.
June 26th, 1890. As we enter Holmes' apartment, we come upon a most silent and introspective gathering. Our attention is drawn towards Holmes, who sits legs outstretched, plucking random notes from the strings of his violin. It appears that for the master sleuth, the instrument produces not sound but sight. As he plays a discordant melody, some vision seems to be forming behind those gray and brooding eyes. Dr. Watson, who sits on the seat of a large chair, fills his pipe while engaging in a most minute inspection of the rug. Inspector Lestrade, who stands near the mantel flipping the pages of his notebook, desperately tries to read between the lines of his own handwriting. It takes a moment, but our presence is finally noticed. Ah, your attention to my note is gratifying. Inspector Lestrade has a rather intriguing problem for you. Inspector, would you be so kind? 10 o'clock this morning, begins Lestrade, I received a communication from the offices of Sloane, Swarthmore, and Cartwright. No doubt you are aware that they are one of the most prestigious law firms in all of London. Trust funds under their care amount to many millions, and they advise the world's largest companies in their contract negotiations. The communication from Constable Lane read, Junior partner drops dead. Doctor at scene suspects poison. Come at once. I arrived in the lobby of the Sloane building and took one of the 2 lifts to the 4th floor. Out of the lift, I turned right and proceeded down a short corridor, entering a large circular room. In the center were 3 desks, obviously the executive staff's workspace. 5 office doors ringed the room. Constable Lane beckoned me towards one of them. There I found the body of Melvin Tuttle, 2.5 years with the firm, and the newly promoted junior partner. Dr. Gerald Mason, who has offices in the building, was also present. He informed me an examination of the body indicated heart failure, but that considering the youth of the man, Tuttle was 28, and his obvious good health, he suspected poison. Of course, heart failure is not unheard of in one so young, interrupts Watson. Appearance of health is not always the fact of it. An excellent observation, my dear Watson, says Holmes, but no doubt Sir Jasper will be able to tell us more after a thorough examination. Quite so, says Lestrade. My instincts tell me that the man was poisoned. In fact, I will stake my reputation on it. And a sterling reputation it is, says Holmes. Pray continue, Inspector. Acting on Dr. Mason's suspicions, and my own, he proceeds, I sent the cup of tea and biscuit found on Tuttle's desk to Professor Murray for analysis, as well as a bag of toffee found in the top drawer. Oh, and Tuttle's tobacco pouch and pipe. With this last, Lestrade looks to Holmes for approval, and Holmes, somewhat amused, gives it to him with a nod. While Constable Lane collected the contents of Tuttle's desk to be taken to the yard for inventory and study, I took the vacant office next to Tuttle's to conduct my investigation. According to the lift operator, Emmett Price, Tuttle worked late last night and arrived early, shortly before 8 a.m. Some important contracts had to be gotten out, and it was Tuttle's responsibility. At 9 a.m., Mrs. Margaret Porter and Miss Alice Spring arrived in the lobby almost simultaneously. Mrs. Porter, the senior member of the executive staff, has been with the firm for some 22 years. Miss Spring, an attractive brunette, is the executive secretary and has been with the firm for 5 years. Price noted that she seemed distracted. The third member of the staff, Miss Brenda Walker, the staff typist, also worked late last evening and was not expected before afternoon. Of the 3 partners, Sir Sidney Sloane, the founder of the firm, never arrives before noon. Mr. Henry Swarthmore, head of the trust division, worked late with Tuttle last night and had an appointment at Bell's Baths at 9 a.m. And Mr. Whitney Cartwright, head of the contracts division, took an unscheduled leave of absence to of undetermined duration yesterday. According to Mrs. Porter, Mr. Tuttle's door was open when she and Miss Spring arrived. When he saw them, he rose, waved his pipe in greeting, and closed the door. While Mrs. Porter made the rounds of the three senior partners' offices, collecting memos and such, Miss Spring was back at hers, weeping. Mrs. Porter attempted to find out the trouble, but Miss Spring rebuffed her. By Mrs. Porter's estimate, 15 minutes passed, during which she sorted correspondence, Miss Spring typed at her desk, and Mr. Tuttle worked behind the closed door of his office. Mrs. Porter then went about preparing morning tea. When it was ready, she took a cup and a fresh biscuit, purchased at Lydell's Bakery, 345 Macklin Street, to Tuttle. He accepted them and handed her 11 letters to be posted immediately, stating that he was very glad that the contracts were finally finished. Mrs. Porter saw that Tuttle appeared tired, even a little unsteady. His hand shook as he tried to relight his pipe, but noticed nothing of a more serious nature. She then left the office, closing the door behind her, and walked directly to the lift. When Price arrived, she gave him the letters with instruction to pass them on to a messenger for immediate posting. She had just arrived back at her desk when she heard a crashing from Tuttle's office. After an exchange of glances with Miss Spring, who had been at her desk during all the foregoing, they went to investigate. They found Tuttle lying on the floor, apparently lifeless. Miss Spring rushed to the body crying out, "Oh, Melvin!" Mrs. Porter was able to take her out of the office and settle her down somewhat before she summoned Dr. Mason via Price. And there you have it. I suppose you thoroughly, what's the expression, grilled the 2 ladies? Asks Watson. Poison is, after all, a woman's weapon. Each was questioned separately, and their stories, in the main, coincided, replies Lestrade. In the main, asks Watson intensely. No 2 witnesses to a single event will give the same testimony in every detail, says Holmes. To do so, indeed, would be suspicious, as Inspector Lestrade knows quite well. Yes, of course, agrees Lestrade, cautiously. You mentioned a vacant office, Inspector, asks Holmes. Yes, until last week, it was occupied by Harold Diggs. It seems that 3 months ago, both Diggs and Tuttle were promoted from the floors below. Diggs, 11 years with the firm, resigned upon the announcement of Tuttle's junior partnership. As I understand it, he had quite a row with Sir Sidney Tuesday last. Ah, a jealous colleague, says Watson, certainly a motive for murder. Mr. Holmes, says Lestrade, completely ignoring Watson's remark, I admit to be quite baffled. The commissioner has already notified my office that he expects a prompt solution to this crime. Holmes nods gravely and says, Of course, Inspector. A prompt solution to any case is always desirable. You shall certainly have our help in this matter. Okay. If there's anything you would like me to reread, please let me know. As far as names go, one that I thought was funny, Gerald Mason is Jerrold. Mason.
Huh.
I'm not going to change that in my notes.
Great.
I'm going to forget to spell it that way every time.
What were the names of the three men?
contents on his body again? It was like tobacco and something else.
Muted.
A pipe, I believe.
Yeah, Tuttle's tobacco pouch and pipe.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if those were on the body. I know those were what were taken to Professor Murray for analysis. So the tobacco pouch and pipe, a bag of toffee found from his top drawer, as well as the tea and biscuit that were purchased from Lydell's Cafe.
Basically, any
And we
food.
haven't received.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we have any consumable. We haven't received any. We haven't received those toxin reports, right?
That is
No.
correct. So I
So-
believe we would
Okay.
have to
Go to Jasper.
head to Murray in order to receive the analysis.
Something that's interesting, though, really quickly, that I want to point out because I feel clever for noticing it, is that he was
Absolutely.
already showing signs of distress or physical distress, with the shaking of the pipe and all that, before the biscuits showed up.
Yes.
So if we were going to receive some sort of toxin report, I'm assuming it's going to be from the toffee he already had or the tobacco that he had.
Unless he was just really nervous already and expecting someone was going to come and try and do something to him.
And the
I
other
was
thing
wondering
is,
if it was actually a suicide.
So that means if he was expecting it, that this is
The-
probably murder.
the other thing too you have to think about is, he worked late and started early. He could have just been like very tired. That's
Yeah,
why
just,
like
like,
everything was
low-
shaking.
Low blood sugar.
Like maybe he skipped dinner and everything, and then he skipped breakfast,
Mm.
and the muffin was the first thing he had today. Like I felt like that, but
Sure.
in Sherlock, you can never be sure.
Right.
What were the name of the three women? I'm sure they're not gonna be too much.
Yeah,
but-
the three women were Mrs. Well, there was two women.
Oh, okay. I thought,
Well, there's also
two-
Brenda Walker, the typist.
Oh, you're right. You're
Mhm.
right. You are correct. Thank you. So the first one was Mrs. Margaret Porter, who is the senior member of the executive staff, having been with the firm for some 22 years. Then there's Miss Spring, an attractive brunette who is the executive secretary and has been with the firm for 5 years. Then Price noted that Miss Spring seemed distracted. And then lastly, like Cameron mentioned, Brenda Walker, the staff typist, who also worked late last evening and was not expected before afternoon, day of murder.
It said Spring was seen like crying or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Spring was weeping in her office after. Let's see. According to Mrs. Porter, Mr. Tuttle's door was opened when she and Miss Spring arrived. When he saw them, he rose, waved his pipe in greeting, and closed the door. While Mrs. Porter made the rounds of the three senior partners' offices collecting memos and such, Miss Spring was back at hers weeping. So she was weeping.
Prior to his death.
Correct.
and if she seemed distracted, who knows what's going on in her personal life, too. You
Yeah.
know.
Probably just
Unless-
some sort of like
Okay.
breakup.
So, if Melvin knew it was coming, and if something was going on between him and Miss Spring, and he knew that like it was coming, so if he could have told her, and it's like there's nothing I can do about it, it's gonna happen, and then she's distracted and crying because nothing she can do about it, and boom, look at that conspiracy theory already.
I was honestly having a similar thought, so you're not alone in this conspiracy.
I'm gonna start looking at the newspaper pretty soon.
Sure. The only reason why I don't necessarily think that he thought he was already going to die is if he knew, I feel like he would go to the cops and just be like, hey, or maybe even go to Sherlock. Just be like, hey, I'm
Unless-
going to be murdered. This is going to happen, but I want you to solve it.
Or at the
Unless you
very
think-
least, why slave do like extra hours at work for your last waking moments?
Well, unless he
what
thinks
if-
he deserves it.
What if
No,
he?
I don't
What
think
if
he committed
he
suicide.
he came across something like with all law firms, especially like cases like this where murder's involved? There's something shady going on with the law firm, similar to the last case, and he came across it, and he's
And our
like,
job is to solve his murder in order to crack down what the.
well, not even to that point, to that extent, but it's just like he came across it and he was all shaky and everything because he's like, do the higher ups know that I came across this?
Hmm.
And then he was like taken out because they're efficient.
But the thing is, so here's my thing on that is if they had him become the new junior
Partner or whatever.
junior partner, thank you. Like someone who's been there for 2.5 years and they wanted him to play ignorant on something that they were doing, why would you not trust the person who's been there for 15 years that clearly shows they want to be there? That like, hey, if you tell them something and they are like, they'll just be like, yeah, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut, or you know, I'm not gonna do anything with this information.
You're talking about the
There's also the Harold Biggs angle with him retiring a week earlier.
yeah, what were the other? So there was Gerald Mason and who was the Biggs? I didn't
So
get everybody's
Gerald
names.
Mason is the doctor who inspected the scene. And then the three executive partners, three senior partners, is Sir Sidney Sloane, the founder, Mr. Henry Swarthmore, head of the trust division, and Mr. Whitney Cartwright,
Houston.
head of the contracts division. So, Mr. Henry Swarthmore, head of the trust division, worked late with Tuttle the night before, and then had an appointment at Bell's Baths at 9 a.m. That to me seems a little suspicious, that they were working together the night before, and kind of like one of you was saying, where if Tuttle noticed something that he shouldn't have, you know, dealing with all these trusts, you know, if Swarthmore was there to quote-unquote take care of it, and then just conveniently had an appointment at 9 a.m., so he wasn't going to be in the office.
Pretty sus, yeah.
Certainly, yeah, that rings some alarm bells.
I will say I do kind of envy whichever founder never shows up before noon.
Right?
I caught that and I was like,
Fair.
oh, that's lucky.
And then Cartwright, it said, took a leave of absence like the day before. Is that right?
Yeah, he took an unscheduled leave of absence of undetermined duration.
Also kind of suspicious.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But which thread do we pull on first? Is there a general thread that we can pull
Yes.
that will narrow our search down later? I say we get the toxicity report first.
Yeah, that's
That
what
was
I
my
thinking.
first thing. Find out how exactly did he died.
Okay,
Mhm.
so go talk to Murray, obviously. First place of interest. No argument here.
Is it Jasper Murray? Because I heard Jasper in the talk.
There's Jasper Meeks.
Oh, the head
then there's
examiner at the
HR
hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, there's HR Murray.
So yeah, because it was Inspector that said Meeks is, or Jasper Meeks is the one we should talk to because he does the autopsies.
Well, he does the autopsy, but it does say down at the bottom, acting on Dr. Mason's suspicions and my own, I sent the cup of tea and biscuit found on Tuttle's desk to Professor Murray for analysis. So Murray's doing the analysis of the food, whereas Meeks would do the analysis of the body.
If it
Well, I
truly
think
was
we're gonna
poison.
need to know both, in case there's poison in the food, and if the poison in him is different.
Mm.
And I feel like because he was already shaking and based on the night before, it's like, I feel like going to Meeks will tell us if he's poisoned, yes or no. Going to Murray will tell us if he was poisoned this morning, which I feel like
Specifically by the food. Yeah.
we're all seeming like is probably no.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably something that happened prior. So I think going to Meeks is going to be our best course of action.
I'm down.
But
Yeah, I've gone through the first page of the newspaper so far, and there's nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is gonna be a no newspaper one.
It is very possible, especially if we're working with like really big law firms.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to want any,
It may not
Nothing's
even
gonna be
reach
in
the
the
paper.
paper.
Yet. Yeah, it may not even reach the paper yet that something's going on. Otherwise, they lose face.
All right. So 38 EC is Jasper Meeks.
Do you want to keep going through the
22
newspaper?
West.
Like, give you 5 minutes or something like that to go through the newspaper?
Are you talking?
No,
to me?
chilling. I think
Oh,
we
okay.
can go through slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do.
All right. So, do we head straight to Meeks? Do we head to the
We head to the pub
law offices?
The unnamed pub, I agree.
Yeah, we head to the unnamed pub. Yeah.
Named pub.
I think Meeks is our best bet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Usually
before-
I'm for scene of the crime first, but I actually think makes more sense here.
I doubt we're gonna find too much of the scene of the crime, considering
Yeah,
how
it
many
sounds
people
like
have.
they were pretty thorough.
Well, not just that, but the number of people that have been in and out of that office already today, anything's gonna be contaminated.
Yeah, we're not gonna find anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. All right.
Alrighty then.
I'm just glancing through the newspaper really quick. I don't see anything.
Matt, I took a bite of my food. I'm watching your Twitch stream, and I
Oh, God
looked
damn it.
at you, and you took a bite, and then looked directly in the camera, and it looked like you were just looking into my soul as we ate together.
That's a little uncomfortable.
I muted up too, just so that
Not
nobody
good
would hear me
burgers.
start to chew.
And if you don't have it up, I forgot, that is streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I am now watching the stream.
There's now a stream going on. Things are being streamed. Like a river or...
being streamed.
Just be careful with the audio, otherwise you will hear an echo. I think it's like 5 seconds behind.
I mean, I just mute it.
Mhm. I just let that echo roll.
Alright, I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me, at least in today's newspaper. So
Matt, you are an
do you want me to
upsetting year.
just head to... You want me to just head to Meeks?
I'm Mr. Macy.
Or
To be fair,
does
this is
anyone
a
want-
terrible soft taco.
Let's do Meeks.
Are you playing a
Yeah,
game?
I say Meeks.
Or is that Joe's fan again?
Probably my fan again.
I hear clicking, and it shows that Joe is talking at that point.
Yeah, I hear clicking and just background noise, and it sounds like a controller, but... Joe, are you playing something?
Why am I
No.
so tall?
Okay.
I'm painting something, but no, I'm not playing something.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I see how it is. Apparently we're not
Well,
recording.
because that's not true. But here's the thing: if I'm just staring at the wall, then that's not helping me. And unfortunately, I have such a great team that is able to take such effective notes that my own note taking has proved far inferior.
Yeah, but you can't pace around with a baseball bat if you are painting.
I can't
We took
pace it
baseball
around with
bats
a
away
baseball.
from him months ago.
Remember when we were gonna not get distracted?
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, Mark.
I'm just gonna
God.
cut all this part out, but I might leave it in now just for that.
All right. So, Jasper Meeks, 38 EC. At Bart's, we find Sir Jasper Meeks in his office, huddled over a mass of papers. Sorry to intrude, Sir Jasper. No, come in, he says with a genuine relief. Can't say if the pen is mightier than the sword, but it most definitely is mightier than the scalpel. What can I do for you? Can you tell us about the autopsy performed on Melvin Tuttle? Ah, let's see, he says, rubbing his forehead as if turning the pages of a report. Died of heart and respiratory failure. No disease present. An examination of the contents of his stomach indicate that he had not eaten since the previous evening. I tested for several common poisons, but I could find no foreign substances. Of course, you must realize that many poisons are virtually undetectable, unless you know what you're looking for. Anything else? No, that's all we wanted to know. Thank you. Don't run off. Have some tea. Chat a while. Did you by chance catch the cricket finals in this Gold Cup, or in the Gold Cup this year?
We're good, thank you.
Great.
So the big thing there, he didn't eat breakfast, so it's
That's
either a
probably why
slow
he was-
acting poison or he was just shaky because he hadn't eaten until previous night's dinner. Which no, because they said the night before, so he hadn't skipped it.
So now, do you guys want to head to Murray?
Is that
That's the guy who
contents?
analyzed. Yes.
We can.
I don't
Although
feel as though
if
there's
this
any
guy
other
didn't
thing
find
to do.
any poison in the body, then if that same poison is undetectable, then it would be undetectable in the food, right?
Well, he didn't find any
No.
common poisons.
So the thing
could be
is,
Yeah, go ahead.
when detecting a poison in a dead body like that, it's very hard. Detecting the poison on food, actually pretty simple. It's because the
Yeah.
body like digests and processes it and everything that makes it hard to find.
All right,
But-
we can go there next.
As its natural state, pretty easy. Well, relatively.
Relatively speaking.
What's Murray's number? I don't have it written down.
22 Southwest.
Thank you.
That's where Bill Murray lives?
Yeah, didn't you watch Zombieland?
I have a new way of keeping it easy for us to see how many places we've gone to.
Cool.
Keep a tally mark. I can do that too, actually.
No, I just
So-
have dashes next to each one, so I don't have to
Oh,
go through all
okay.
my.
Also,
I
I
don't-
started numbering them this time.
yeah.
All right.
Oh,
22
Alrighty.
Southwest. We descend the increasingly familiar musty staircase and enter the professor's laboratory. We've come about the items left off by Scotland Yard for analysis. Tobacco, pipe, toffee, tea, biscuit. Tea and biscuit? I was hoping for something more substantial. Fish and chips, at least. Well, in any case, put it over there. It takes a moment of further explanation before the professor grasps that we are not here to deliver his dinner. Oh, Inspector Lestrade, why didn't you say so? I have the report right here, Watkins. Come in, come in.
Wait, dinner.
Professor leads the way to an alcove, which serves as his office, and begins sifting through stacks of papers, charts, graphs, notes, all jumbled together on a huge roll-top desk. What appears to us as chaos is to the professor a precise filing system, for in a matter of seconds he draws forth the desired document. He hands it to us with a self-satisfied smile. Unfortunately, it is unintelligible to us, just a series of chemical formulae and percentages. For example, toffee, C12, H22, oil, 93%. Professor, could you translate this into layman's terms? Did you find poison in any of these samples? Somewhat irritated, Dr. Murray snatches back the report. Like most experts, it would seem he becomes exasperated with those who find his speciality incomprehensible and are thus improperly appreciative. The toffee and the tobacco are exactly what they purport themselves to be, toffee and tobacco. Now the tea does contain the barest trace of poison, 0.004 grams to be exact. But more significantly, a very high concentration was found on the lip of the cup. Also, the same lethal rime was detected along the bite taken out of the biscuit and on the pipe stem. The biscuit itself was not contaminated. What is the poison, Professor? Without replying, he reaches above the desk and pulls a tome down from the shelf. It turns out to be his own work. Compendium of My Favorite Poisons, London, 1848.
That's
He
macabre.
flips through the pages, then hands it to us. It says, Chinaberry, Malia azadirach, is a tree of warm temperate regions producing panicles of fragrant purple flowers, followed by pale yellow berry-like drupes about half an inch across. The fleshy pulp of the fruit contains a paralyzing nerve poison. When distilled into its crystalline pure state and ingested, only 0.05 grams is enough to prove fatal to the most hardy of men. Heart action stops immediately and permanently. No known antidote exists. The presence of the poison can be detected by its faint smell, reminiscent of lilac. Professor, where would one obtain this poison? Well, I should think one of the only ways to obtain Chinaberry would be to strike up a friendship with a South Sea Aborigine. It is not then readily available in London. No. Thank you, Professor, for your time. Time? 4:43, he says, consulting his pocket watch. Ah, yes. Thank you. And we make our exit.
All right, so the nutty professor has confirmed that it is poison.
Yes.
It sounds like they
Cusco.
poisoned his pipe.
Cusco's poison.
Yeah.
Or the
The-
poison was already in him before he ate it, because it
It's
was
a-
most concentrated, like where the bite mark was and
Yeah,
where his
but
mouth was on the pipe.
what's
And
weird?
on the cup.
So
What's
it's like
weird
it was
about
in
that
his
though
saliva or something.
is it had an immediate. It's supposed to have an immediate
Lipstick.
effect.
Ooh,
Boom. Shakalaka.
There we go.
that's
Yeah,
it.
but it. Yeah. But who's the only lady in the building?
There's like
There were
two
two.
of them that
There's three.
enter
There
at
were
the
three,
exact same
but one
time.
of them's not important, probably.
Yeah, one of them's not important, which
I
means
think-
she's probably the most important one.
The other thing
Yeah.
though is, it says it only needs 0.5 grams to kill somebody, but it's supposed to have a pretty much immediate effect.
Did it say immediate?
It
I
says
didn't
the
hear
heart
You
stop.
said,
It
you said
says the
immediate heart failure.
0.05 grams is enough to prove fatal to the most hardy of men. Heart action stops immediately and permanently.
But here's the
How much did
next
he
case with
have?
that. Yeah, the
0.004 grams.
so
But that
a
was
little less
only-
than a fatal dose.
That was only in the tea.
which
Right.
is what would have came off his lips when he drank from it. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing though is, if he did have a lesser dose, that says that's just immediately fatal to it. It could have had a buildup, or like it maybe
boy.
a slower one if you have less than 0.5.
Well, I mean, also keep in mind that it's on his lips. It's not actually in his system. So as things pass over his lips, he is ingesting the poison that way. When he's putting
Yes.
his mouth to the cup and then drinking the tea, when he's biting into the biscuit, when he's blowing on his pipe. That's the only time when he's actually ingesting the poison.
Which
Well-
is presumably how the person who kissed him didn't die.
Exactly, because they wiped it off.
Your lips ingest stuff in a similar
Unless
way
they-
that the inside of your mouth does.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
unless
but does
they
you
put
know
it
that,
on,
and I know that, but does Sherlock know that?
I'm sure.
Yes.
Probably.
But what if they put on the lipstick, they freshen up before the kiss or whatever, right? Then they kiss it and then immediately wipe it off like right after, so that way they don't ingest basically any.
Right. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have.
Like, I don't think they lick
two-
their lips after they kissed him if they have poison on their lips.
Yes. So presuming that, because I think that is definitely the
Yo, Miss Spring, what's
angle.
up?
Yeah. So we need to go talk to Miss Spring because she was the one who was crying, try and figure out what's going on in her life, but also see if there was. Maybe she was crying because she saw him kissing another woman, and we need to know who the hell that is.
Yeah.
But we also need to go maybe to his apartment and see if there is another significant other in his life that isn't her.
Or maybe it's a dude.
Maybe.
We're
What year
assuming
is
it's
this?
a woman. It could be a dude.
It very well could be. Maybe that is why him and Mr.
We were working late last night. The
Henry
You know what?
Swarthmore were
They're-
working
Considering
Right,
the
right.
playfully sexist comment that was made during the intro, I don't think there's any kind of man-on-man relationship happening here.
Well, it's
You mean
also
the
entirely.
poison being a women's.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they say to throw us off. That's exactly what they say to throw us off.
They also say the similar thing in Assassin's Creed 1 about poison being a coward's weapon.
Sherlock was probably inspired by Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure, man.
Mhm.
Here, let me look up his address, Melvin's. Melvin Tuttle is his last name?
Tuttle. Tuttle.
Can you spell Melvin for me? Because there's no
I like
Melvin.
Tuttle.
Elvin.
Oh, okay, one of two. Didn't find the other one. I had, yeah, it had Melvin Ebner, and I'm like, what? Yeah. So Melvin Tuttle is 7WC.
Okay, I will mark that as a place of interest.
For Miss Spring, do we think we're more likely to find her at her home or at the office?
I would say at her home.
At this point, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's past
Yeah.
4 o'clock. There's been a murder, so they probably
Okay.
closed for the
Exactly.
day.
Apologies. What was Tuttle's address?
7WC.
7WC. Great. Got it.
He was dead in office. Gotta write that down.
Okay.
Ed in office. That's
Should we
rough, buddy.
also mark the other 2 women of the office as places of interest?
Oh,
Miss
shit, what was their
Spring?
name? Pam.
Yeah.
And
There was Margaret.
Margaret Porter.
Are you saying
Okay.
Pam or are you saying Pan?
I said
you say-
Pam.
You say
Like from The Office?
Are you saying Pan or are you saying Pan?
God, I hate you.
So Alice Spring is 46
Orion
EC. She's the only spring in the thing. So, and then Porter is the other one that we're interested in.
40.
Margaret Porter is 8 Northwest.
Okay, 8 Northwest. That I can find. 46 EC.
Do we want to look at? Well,
45.
Brenda Walker's not expected to be before
And I see
afternoon.
48. I don't see 46 on this map. Is it being covered up by that other quarter? No.
I'll find it. It's in EC. 41, 42, 45.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
We found it.
Yeah. What's throwing me off is that there's the train tracks right there that I keep thinking divides EC and WC, but then I forget there's the blue line that actually divides it.
Oh yeah.
So it's west of the tracks, but east of the actual
Oh, okay.
dividing line.
Oh, next
So
to
just-
Must
looks
be nice to see
funky.
colors.
Holborn Circus.
Yes.
Do you want me to look up anybody else like Sydney Sloan or
I don't think that would be a terrible idea. His boss.
Okay, 56 Southwest.
Got it.
it. Sloan is not the one that's out of town, right? It's Cartwright.
No, that is
Correct.
Cartwright. Well, we don't know if he's out of town.
Yeah, he just
He
took
just
an
half conveniently
unexpected
not
leave
there.
of
Out of
absence.
the office.
Yes.
Correct.
He is conveniently not there when we need him.
Henry Swarthmore is 39 Northwest.
39 Northwest. 37. 38, 39. Great.
Is Cartwright spelled like it sounds, Cartwright, or is it Carth?
Yep. Nope. You're correct.
There is no Henry
Good.
Cartwright in this directory.
Let me see if I just missed him.
There is Abel, Ben, Faye, and Thomas. So if Ben is supposed to be Henry,
There is a small chance that I did miss Whitney Cartwright. Is there a Whitney Cartwright in the directory?
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
heard
that's it.
Henry. Oh, I might have
Sorry.
heard Henry Swarthmore and put down him for both.
Whitney. 32 Northwest, hopefully.
Oh, you also misspelled Cartwright on Whitney one.
Oh, did I really?
It's 79 Southeast.
What?
You put Cart, CARTWIRGHT, so that I can fix it now.
Oh, okay, great.
Joe, can you mute yourself when you're not talking?
Oh, is the fan still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a 79 Southeast.
Thank you.
I don't know if you messed up all the Cartwrights then, but
One sec.
so I would definitely put it 32 Northwest if I reorganized the Cartwrights.
Hold on. Okay. So let's see here. Lewis Carroll. Great. Cartwright.
Lewis Carroll's 55 Northwest.
Yeah, so 79 Southeast is Abel.
Yeah, so all the
Ben,
Cartwrights are messed
Faye.
up.
Great. Okay.
So
yeah,
it goes.
so if you wouldn't mind
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I'll see if I can just. So tell me Abel's real fast, just to be sure.
79 Southeast.
Okay, then
Ben,
Ben
is 6 Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
A is 32 Northwest. Thomas is 61 West Central. And Whitney is 32 Northwest.
Okay, they're fixed now.
Great, thank you.
With how big this thing is, there's bound to be an error or two in there, so.
Or, like, a lot. That's okay.
Well, we haven't come across too many yet, so.
Fair. Okay, so I am just going to go out on a limb here and say Faye and Whitney are married.
Which two? Faye? Yeah, considering they had the same address.
Same address, same last name. Tuttle. Tuttle. Melvin, 7 West Central. Okay, so there's no one else by the last name of Tuttle. But he is 28, so probably not married just yet. Maybe, probably. Not that it was mentioned.
My dad was married at 28.
I'm just saying.
It's even younger if we go further back the tree.
Yeah, my parents were
Yeah,
also
at this
married.
point in
like,
time,
early.
people are getting married at like 16.
All right.
Like if we want to talk about
Hey,
Romeo and Juliet,
Mark just wouldn't
she
know,
had
okay? We don't need to bring it up.
Juliet's mom had her when she was like 12 or 16, something like that. I think it was 12 actually. Like Romeo and Juliet has some weird ages.
Oh, Bob Saget.
That's what
I'm
happens when you base a story on a Taylor Swift song.
Bob Saget sucks dick for coke.
What is with you guys? Like, we started the stream with, we started off the stream with, fuck Bob Saget, and I don't know why. And now you guys just going like this. What's going on here? Am I missing something?
First off, the Bob Saget sucks dick for coke, yes. That is a reference that you probably don't understand. Great movie, though. Great movie. Anyway, before we get distracted, let's get back in.
Too late.
So,
Oh.
nope. I'm making it happen.
Okay, so we have a few places to go to. We thinking Miss
anything
Spring.
Yeah, I think one of the women of the office for sure.
So
Probably the
yeah.
one closest to his age and also mentioned as being attractive.
That's what I was thinking. Is Miss Spring. She's also a brunette. Definitely not my type or anything. Totally didn't pay attention, especially after that part.
Okay. Is that where we're leaning, Miss Spring?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
We're going to
Which
her
one
place
was
too.
her
Right?
address?
It was 46 EC.
Okay, I just have a ton of places marked on here. All right, should I just go ahead and read that? Are we all in agreement, or do you want to mull it over?
Joe, if you were
I
talking,
am
you
in
were on
No
mute.
agreement.
mulling. Let's go.
There will be no mulling. The time for talk has passed. The
Let me roll
Lord's
a
work must
hold
be
on, let me
done.
roll a D20 real fast.
But
I
I'm
got
sure we'll
2.
do it again. I'm sure we'll mull again.
Can I get a mulligan? All right, let's go.
We can go mulling, or we can just hang ourselves.
Okay, cutting that.
I like
I have
that.
my own mulling
In-game,
ball,
in-game.
my own mulling shoes, and no friends.
All right. Miss Alice Spring has evidently done a great deal of weeping, as her red eyes and puffy face testify. Notwithstanding,
Don't believe-
she is still a very attractive lady. Seated in her small but comfortable flat, she composes herself to answer our questions. This morning, I arrived at the building a little before 9 o'clock, I supposed. I'm not sure of the exact time. Mrs. Porter and I rode the lift to the 4th floor together. Mr. Tuttle... She threatens to dissolve in a flood of tears, but a few quick dabs with a soggy handkerchief saves the situation. Begins again, bravely, was in his office. While Mrs. Porter went around to the executive offices, I went in to see Melvin. Mr. Tuttle. Your relationship with Mr. Tuttle was more than professional? We had been seeing each other for some 7 or 8 months, yes. But Mr. Tuttle ended it last week. Then your business with him this morning was not personal? No. I mean, yes. He had given me a gift, a parting gift, if you will, and I had decided to return it. When he ended your relationship, it must have been quite a shock to you. I was deeply hurt, but on reflection, Melvin had never made any promises. We had never talked of a more permanent situation. Did he give you a reason for ending it? He said that he had met another woman, that he was very serious about her, and he didn't think it fair to me to carry on. After you saw him that morning, you came back to your desk and remained there? Yes, right up until... On the edge throughout, she plunges into the abyss. We do what we can to comfort her, but finding the task impossible, we apologize for our intrusion and leave. Okay. So...
Interesting.
So you're telling me she's single?
Yes, that is exactly what we're telling you. She is single.
This is what we are telling you, Matt.
And riven with grief, so don't expect anything permanent.
She would also be about 130, 140 years old.
And
Dude.
not real, so there's that too.
That,
Okay.
well,
Yeah,
I
but her
wasn't even
hair's
bring that
brown, and
part
that's
up.
all that matters.
But more important,
And she's attractive.
but yeah,
Okay.
she got kicked out of the party before she could even leave. So, just throwing that one out there.
Rude.
Lol.
All right, so we need to
Well,
find out who
at
this
least
other woman
Trebek
was.
got almost a year, and I got a year into the party before he got kicked out.
It was longer than a
It's
year.
true. That is very true.
Well, not in game, but.
Yeah, in game it was like 3 weeks.
I would also just like to say I'm. I would also just like to say that I'm very disappointed that Alec, you haven't said I like Tunnels, because
I said it already.
Did you
I said it
actually?
as soon as the name got said. No one heard it, and I went, I'm not gonna ruin this and say it
God
again.
damn
I'll give
it.
it like an hour or two.
You should-
I just
then
want to point out that I
I
heard
missed
Alec
it.
shout that through the wall before I
Okay.
heard it pop up on
All
Discord.
right, all right. Fair play.
I was
Anyway.
eating. I was not paying attention.
Yes.
Mark. I do like
Oh.
Tunnels.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
that you ruined.
So, do you think that Miss Alice Spring here is the vindictive type?
No.
Probably
absolutely
not. I would
not.
think the other
Ooh.
woman found out that he was dating both of them at the same time.
I know, but I'm just
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
so. First off, I wonder what the gift was. They never mentioned it. But second, how are we gonna find out who this other woman is? Like, do you think we go talk to like Mrs. Porter and be like, "So, what's the gossip
Yes.
around the office?"
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to figure out this pain scenario.
I vote we go
Yes.
to the Catalina wine mixer.
Freaking Halloween mixer.
I also think it's entirely possible that she's just like, oh, distraught to throw us off the case, because once again, poison being a woman's weapon, and women are always trying to deceive us, right? Like the lying bitches that they are.
Trying
Jesus
to throw us
Christ.
off? That
You are
is-
streaming confirmed, right?
I'm sorry. Is
Yes,
that
I
not
am,
what
and I'm
the-
clipping that. Don't worry.
Is that fantastic? Is that not what basically the opening part of this entire thing was establishing? Poison, yes, a woman's weapon, because they are too weak to use anything else.
Yeah, can someone check to see if misogyny is against Twitch's guidelines, please?
That's like their business model. I don't think so. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
On
Okay, great.
a side note, Cameron. I appreciate you giving
Sexploitation
me
is
that.
their business model.
This
What's
isn't
that, Alec?
Activision.
I wanted to say I appreciate you understanding my reference.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
But it wasn't as good as the Coke one. That one was
Thanks.
definitely better.
Yeah, agreed.
That's just because you don't like Step Brothers.
And just to be clear, if he ain't back in 10 minutes, we call him Domino's.
Man, if I ain't back in, if I'm not back in 10 minutes, call the police.
Oh, God. Alright. Okay, we got that out of our
Mark,
system.
what are those things we used to
Bringing
get
it
back in the day?
Yeah, no, we're not going there
Distracted?
right now. We'll do it later. Alright. So, who is in favor of going and talking to Mrs. Porter?
You can't see, but I'm raising my hand.
Okay, we got one. I am also in favor.
If we want to go talk to Mrs. Porter,
I am in favor too. I'm just muted right now.
I want to see Matt bend back over so he's that dump truck again.
Okay.
excuse you, sir. We are on
right.
Twitch.
So before we go
The
talk to
dumpy free zone.
Mrs. Porter, is there anywhere else that anyone is thinking as far as places of interest we should go prior, or that are more pressing?
That bathhouse.
I mean, I'm less inclined to think that it was like some sort of corporate espionage
Do
murder
you
or
actually
assassination
want
plot
to
at this
go
point.
to the bathhouse just to confirm that what's his name actually had an appointment or like showed up?
It's not a terrible idea.
I'll put it on the map. I think, as of the information we have now, we have no reason to
Probably
believe
not
that-
relevant.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Unless,
it
of
does-
course,
just be
unless
the-
of course we go there and it
Very
turns out it's a big gay bar.
Okay.
I'm telling you, we go there, and it turns out it's like, these are some very flamboyant men. And then, hey, this takes a whole new twist.
Okay.
Saying.
And
Just saying.
someone tell me the location of Bell's Baths.
So
EC.
it's usually a Matt thing, but he's over in the corner.
That's fine. 15 million more. Alright, 11 EC is Bell's Baths. I find it very interesting that Bell's Baths, 11 EC, is in very close proximity to the Stock Exchange, the Bank of London, and a lot of the, like, where the person who had the appointment at Bell's Baths, like, he is in charge of the trust division. Yeah. That seems very fishy to me, looking at the map.
I don't know. It could just be that because he's doing business in that area all the time, that's why he chose the bathhouse there.
Absolutely.
Then why would you do that at a bathhouse and not, the office?
More multi-million-dollar deals today are made at a Starbucks than like in an actual office.
That's true, but why do it at a bathhouse?
Because
A
it's like you,
bathhouse feels a little.
Where is that statistic
Why do
coming
it at a
from?
bathhouse unless it was for?
it was just from something I heard from.
Exactly. That's exactly.
That's enough of that.
It was something that I heard when
Follow
like
the logic. Follow the logic.
Gay
Well, like-
bathhouses are definitely a thing in London in the 1800s. It's got to be.
I'm
That's
not
the only
arguing with that
possibility.
statement.
Exactly. Because no straight man would ever go into a bathhouse full of naked men.
I was gone for like maybe 7-8 minutes working on my printer, and nothing happened during that time.
So
That
anyway,
sounds like
we're
something
going
the
to
ancient
talk
Greeks
to
would do.
Margaret Porter, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I am in.
Yeah, I think that's who we should go talk to next.
Agreed.
Do you need her address? 8 Northwest. I did not write down the address of the bathhouse, and I'm not asking for it.
11 East Central. What? Okay. 8 Northwest. Mrs. Porter is a tall, imposing woman in her mid-50s. Her silver hair neatly tied in a bun. Her dress severe and unfashionable. Her manner and posture somewhat stiff. Our first impression is one of sternness, unmixed with anything of a more gentle nature. After inquiring as to our business, she nods curtly and ushers us into her small apartment, where after a few moments of conversation, we discover that our impression of her is completely in error. She is, in fact, quite friendly, warm even, and quite willing to talk about the subject she knows best in the world, the inner workings of Swarthmore and Cartwright. You see, my husband passed away 15 years ago, and so the firm has become my life. Frank was a dear man, a bit of a dreamer. He made children's toys. She gestures toward a large break front, which dominates one wall of the apartment. In it are housed samples of her husband's craft. He never made much money, and so it was always necessary for me to bring in extra income. I was Sir Sidney Sloane's secretary at Brace and Kenton, and when he decided to set up for himself, he asked me along. That was 22 years ago. She glances over toward the breakfront with a wistful smile on her lips, no doubt remembering some private and special moment. But you have no desire to hear me prattle on about myself. You have come here for quite a different purpose. Mrs. Porter, we ask, what sort of man was Melvin Tuttle? Well, I am sure that everyone would say he was immensely charming. perfect manners, a careful and stylish dresser. He was very eager to please, although not in an unmanly way. My young charges, Miss Walker and Miss Spring, were quite taken with him, as were many of our clients, especially those of the fairer sex. You sound as if you did not share the accepted view. Well, I must admit a certain reticence of enthusiasm for Mr. Tuttle. He struck me as, well, calculating. Behind the well-mannered, smiling facade, one could feel a certain coldness. You see, he always said and did exactly the right thing. A bit too perfect, I always felt. So saying, she casts another quick look at the break front, then turns back to us. But perhaps, she continues, in a lighter vein, I am just being an old woman, offended by the fact that Mr. Tuttle never used that exquisite charm on me. Will you describe the circumstances under which Mr. Tuttle was raised to the executive level? 3 months ago, Sir Sidney called me into his office and simply told me of the change. He asked me to work closely with both Mr. Diggs and Mr. Tuttle to help make their transition to new responsibility a smooth one, was the way he put it. What exactly was this new responsibility? Well, the firm had long needed some of its junior members to make decisions on specific trusts or contracts without the need of referring them to the senior partners. Mr. Diggs and Mr. Tuttle were brought up to the executive floor to symbolize this new power. Do you know how the choice of these two men out of 23 candidates was arrived at? No, I am afraid not, although both Mr. Swarthmore and Mr. Cartwright would jointly have made the decision. You see, Sir Sidney is very close to retirement. The day-to-day running of the firm has long since devolved upon the other two senior partners. Were you surprised at the choices? In Mr. Diggs' case, not at all. He was a bright, considerate man and an excellent solicitor. He had been with the firm 11 years and had consistently produced outstanding work. Mr. Tuttle's work, on the other hand, I thought unexceptional. I will say, however, that he was an industrious and thorough worker. Nevertheless, I was surprised at his promotion. In view of your assessment of the two men, how can you explain Mr. Tuttle's additional promotion to junior partner? I cannot. How did Diggs and Tuttle get along? Their relationship was quite strained, to be sure. While he never said anything, I am certain that Mr. Diggs felt Mr. Tuttle's initial appointment should have gone to someone else with more experience and better qualifications. Then, there was the added pressure put on him by Mr. Swarthmore. All at once, he began to find fault with Mr. Diggs' work, even to the point of berating him in front of the staff while holding up Mr. Tuttle as a model to be followed. And then there was Miss Spring. I don't want to appear a gossip, but Mr. Diggs did nothing to conceal his feelings for her. Feelings, I might add, which Miss Spring did not seem to share. Rightly or wrongly, I could not say, but Mr. Diggs saw Mr. Tuttle as the obstacle between himself and Miss Spring's affections. However, there was never any overt trouble between them. Did Diggs have any parting words with Tuttle on the day of his resignation? No. Mr. Diggs' parting words were all with Sir Sidney. In fact, Mr. Tuttle and Mr. Swarthmore had already left to lunch at Romano's. Did you hear any of Diggs' interview with Sir Sidney? No, it took place entirely in Sir Sidney's office, and, although it was certainly loud, no distinguishable words could be heard. Mrs. Porter, there are a few things we need you to clarify about the morning of Mr. Tuttle's death. There would be no way for anyone to enter Mr. Tuttle's office without your seeing them, is that correct? Quite correct. None of the offices have adjoining doors, and so no one wishing to see Mr. Tuttle would have had... And so anyone wishing to see Mr. Tuttle would have had to pass through the center work area. There were 11 contracts to be mailed, correct? 10 contracts, actually. Addresses typed on company envelopes. 5 were sent to textile firms in Germany. 4 were sent to textile firms in Manchester. The last was addressed to August Heathcliff in London. The 11th letter was personal, hand-addressed from Mr. Tuttle to Mrs. Cartwright. Mrs. Cartwright? Yes, I suppose it had to do with some social function or other. You see, Mr. Cartwright is absolutely dedicated to the firm. He also fairly dotes on his wife. These two passions, as he describes them, sometimes conflict in that he often has important work to complete just when opera season opens or a dress ball is scheduled. In order to not disappoint his wife, he will request one of his junior clerks to escort her. Mr. Tuttle escorted her to many such functions, and I assume the letter had something to do with one of them. In view of Mr. Cartwright's attitude towards the firm, isn't his sudden leave of absence rather strange, especially at a time when these important contracts were in the works? I am afraid I have no light to shed on that, only to agree that it is most unlike Mr. Cartwright. Thank you, Mrs. Porter. You're most welcome.
So is it safe to say that Mr. Diggs, in fact, does not like Tuttle?
I think it's safe to
like
say
it.
that Mr. Diggs does not like Tuttle.
I think it's safe to say that he has
I can
plenty
agree
of
with that.
motive.
But
Why?
So
also,
one-
Also, no motive at this point.
Well, no, because like he likes Miss Spring, and then
Yeah.
he goes over and Tuttle breaks her heart.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean,
I don't-
also, he doesn't think he should have been promoted because he wants that
Yeah.
new spot that's about to open up, and he thinks Tuttle might take it from him.
And even if he wanted Miss Spring, like,
I don't know. There's
I
a lot.
guess
I feel like there's a lot
if you
of.
kill him the morning that he, well, first off, he's not even in the office anymore. But like, they just broke up. I know he probably didn't know that since he's not in the office anymore, but just seems far-fetched at best.
You think he's like a red herring?
so do we think Diggs like kissed him? Like how would he have?
I don't
killed
even.
him?
Well, okay.
I don't even think
if
he's
I-
a red
if I
herring,
may,
just think he's a
'cause-
goldfish.
Yeah, I don't think it's Diggs.
Go ahead,
Also,
Joe.
like I was gonna say, lipstick was just something we came up with. It was just like we found. It was on everything that his lips touched.
Dude.
It was-
Yeah, but that's
Well,
a very solid.
but also,
it has to be that.
well, I mean, here's the thing: who's the wife that he's constantly spending time with?
Is it August
Mrs.
Heathcliff?
Cartwright.
Mrs.
Oh,
Cartwright.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Do you think Mr. Cartwright found out and
That's what
had
I'm leaning
his wife?
Because he just left like mysteriously as well.
Well, it says that that's like a common occurrence for junior members to like accompany her.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
also
but it's
talking
not-
about how Mr. Tuttle is a womanizer. He's effective in, schmoozing everybody.
Yes, that is true.
So it's
Yeah,
not
he was
entirely
supposed to
far-fetched to say that if he's schmoozing Mrs. Cartwright in order to soften his position, in order to improve his status within the company, then it's not far-fetched to say that there's something going on there. So actually, it's entirely possible that Mr. Day didn't appreciate that Tuttle was getting cozy with all these women, and Tuttle also said he was seeing somebody else. So it's possible that Day hired somebody to get close to him, and then took him from there. But then that doesn't justify why he left, though. Because why not just stay in that position so you can gain the benefit of advancing?
Who do you think hired somebody?
The guy that left, the guy who was
Mr. Diggs.
Oh, Diggs. Okay.
You said-
Diggs. Sorry, not Diggs. Diggs.
Yeah,
I said
yeah,
Diggs, not Diggs. My bad.
Okay, I was being pretty thorough with my notes, but I thought I missed somebody.
No. Because that is the guy that left, right? Mr. Diggs is the one that left?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Diggs.
What was
Diggs
the August-
left a week
Is
prior.
Heathcliff thing? Do
Uh,
we think that's relevant?
it was a personal note, like a personal letter sent to them in London.
No, that was the August Heathcliff thing. That was the last contract that needed to be mailed out. So
Okay.
there were
Well, then that's not that suspicious.
10 contracts, 5 to textile firms in Germany, 4 to textile firms in Manchester, and 1 to August Heathcliff in London. And then the final 11th actual envelope was the personal letter from Tuttle to Cartwright.
So
Wait,
Heathcliff
the
was the one
newspaper does actually have something in here. After
Okay.
all.
Now that we know all that information, I'm
Yeah,
assuming it has something on textiles.
Yeah, so on the first page, it says on the right in the middle, textile stocks up. It says, several textile manufacturing companies have posted gains in the past few days, but the leader has been the firm of Heathcliff & Son Ltd. The active buying is apparently the result of rumors concerning an imminent merger between the Manchester-based firm and one or more German textile companies. August Heathcliff, president and majority stockholder, could not be reached for comment on the rumors. Ehrman and Engels, another Manchester-based firm, has also shown impressive gains.
That seems very suspicious, and that seems like we might want to go talk to August Heathcliff, if possible.
It's also entirely possible that's just bonus questions.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that it's
I don't think
they told us about Heathcliff so that we could read this thing in the newspaper so we can be like, Heathcliff & Son is the one who's supposed to be merging with the German textile companies.
That is very
Also, they
possible.
couldn't reach him for comment, so we might just go there and be like, "He's not home."
Fair play. Fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other thoughts on what is potentially happening? Any other leads that we should check out?
Who was okay?
I kind of want to
Which
talk to the
In
Cartwrights.
Cartwright residence.
yeah? Which Cartwright
Yeah.
was that
Okay,
last
we
letter
got
sent
2
to?
Cartwright. It was to Mrs. Cartwright.
I want to talk to Mrs. Cartwright. Fuck her
That-
husband. He's clearly an idiot.
Well, he just sounds like he is trying to spread his time too thinly, and then doesn't really look at who he's sending out on dates with his wife. Like he's literally arranging dates with a womanizer.
So yeah, Mrs. Cartwright.
Yeah.
So it's Whitney Cartwright is the husband.
Yep.
So
That's not
Faye is
confusing.
well. It's
If you
the,
trust your wife, though, what does it matter who's taking her out?
we already said that they're married. They have the same address, 32 Northwest. It doesn't matter which one we go to,
I'm just letting you know that it's
unless
that's
there's an option in the
that's
book.
Cartwright.
Mhm.
Do we think Mr. Cartwright is the jealous type?
I don't know.
He
I
is a
do think-
ruthless, or not ruthless, he's a businessman. You know, who knows what's going on.
So he's a cuck.
Part of me wants to go and talk to the typist to get any
Yeah,
other.
there was
Worked
something
late with them.
mentioned by
Her-
Porter.
Her whole job is literally hearing stuff and then typing it quickly. I think she's
Mhm.
gonna hear some juicy tidbits of the office ongoings.
You think she heard stuff about Bruno?
Also,
No.
we don't talk about Bruno. Also, she was into Tuttle, according to Porter.
The
Except
other
apparently
thing,
everyone's into Tuttle.
anybody around his age.
I do
at
like
least.
Tuttles.
But she
Mhm.
specifically mentioned
Yeah.
Walker and Spring were the ones that were into him.
That's true.
Yes.
Right.
And if you know, you're just listening, just writing stuff down, you're not really processing what you're writing down all the time, too. So like she could just been just going and like not realizing anything was like important as she was writing it down.
Sure.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
So
Current
it seems
PO
like
or
the
place of interest.
Yeah, it seems like the 2 most prevalent places of interest are the typist, which again I'm blanking on her name,
Brenda.
Brenda Walker.
Brenda
thank you,
Walker.
and also Mr. and or Mrs. Cartwright. Those seem to be the 2 places of interest. So,
I'm
what
low-key
should we
leaning
hit up?
towards the typist.
Okay, we got one for
Yeah, I
typist.
think because she might lead us down a completely different path. Like it might not be the Cartwright thing.
It sounds like the Cartwright thing may lead also to bonus questions too. Like it could have a
I'm not-
sub story.
I'm not convinced that the typist is going to tell us anything different that we don't already know. Like, hey, I'm interested in Tuttle. Tuttle behaves like this. Tuttle was seeing Spring.
Well,
And
the big thing I'm curious about is she worked late at the same time as Cartwright and Tuttle.
oh, okay.
Cartwright and Tuttle.
And now
Tuttle
Cartwright is
and-
gone and Tuttle is dead.
Tuttle and Swarthmore were the ones working late together.
Oh, Swarthmore. All right, I have Whitney Cartwright as the work late. I'll change that.
No. Whitney Cartwright was the one who
Unscheduled leave of
had
absence.
an unexpected leave of absence for unscheduled leave of absence for an unexpected duration of time.
Where's his wife? Is she in the hospital?
No
She's
idea.
probably at the opera with another junior member of the firm.
There's no other junior member of the firm. I think they're all dead or left.
Yeah, one died and one left.
There's no more junior member.
Not that we know of.
Well, they did
That's
say
true.
that she was accompanied by many junior members. That's where I was picking
Sounds
that one
like
from.
Moriarty was trying to become a junior member, and so we had Tuttle murdered.
Moriarty, there it is, boys.
All right, guys, we got to go see Fred Porlock. Let's go.
Where's? I don't have a marker.
What? For Fred Porlock? Are you being serious?
No, I was marking that we said Moriarty in the stream.
We gotta make sure to bring that back.
You put a mark down every time we say Moriarty? I'm gonna start saying Moriarty more often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually have the button. That's what I was just complaining about. So let's see. So we're thinking Brenda Walker or Cartwright. I'm on the typist side.
Okay, so I got Cameron, Alec, and Matt for typist, Joe for Cartwright.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm also leaning typist, so that's 4-1.
Fine. Democracy's stupid anyway.
Okay.
Hey, you
well,
could
What do
be
you
right.
mark?
Yeah, you could be right, and then we could just go there right after, and then we're just taking an extra clue, which hopefully might give us a bonus question or something.
Fingers crossed.
What is Brenda Walker's address?
30 Northwest.
30 Northwest. All right.
If she wasn't specifically named by Porter as like somebody into Tuttle, I wouldn't say go there, but I think that makes sense.
Okay. 30 Northwest. All right. Miss Brenda Walker, a small plain woman in her late 20s with dull brown hair and large eyeglasses, is a bundle of energy. From the speed with which she moves about her flat, one can readily infer that her speed at the typewriter must be prodigious indeed. Accompanying this flurry of activity, plumping pillows, resetting furniture, clearing away knitting, is a steady stream of patter consisting of sympathetic remarks concerning Mr. Tuttle, questions about the progress of our investigation, and speculations as to the identity of the culprit, during which we find it difficult to get a word in edgewise. Then, as abruptly as this veritable pyrotechnic display of sight and sound had begun, it ceases. Miss Walker comes to rest on a small settee, her eyes wide open in expectation, her attention to us complete. It leaves us at as much of a loss as her former frenetic activity. Ah, yes. Miss Walker, you worked late with Mr. Tuttle and Mr. Swarthmore last evening, is that correct? Certainly. Well, the firm was drawing up some important contracts, very confidential. Of course, I never read what I type, or I never read what I type. At least, I don't remember it. I just type. Mr. Swarthmore asked me to stay late last evening, as Mr. Tuttle, perhaps I should say poor Mr. Tuttle now, had some last-minute revisions on the contracts that had been sent out in the morning. Post-haste, I believe the expression is. Well, Mr. Swarthmore is a very imposing individual. I must admit to being slightly afraid of him at times. So when Mr. Swarthmore makes a request, it is really a command in disguise. A very thin disguise, to be sure. Miss Walker, It is a great mistake to pose such a broad question to her. If the interview is to continue at anything less than a mad gallop, it is evident that we must frame specific questions and hope against hope that she will confine her answers to a few well-chosen words. Miss Walker, you were there alone with Mr. Swarthmore and Mr. Tuttle? Yes. Imagine me alone with two gorgeous men. Of course, Mr. Swarthmore is quite a bit older, and a bit intimidating, but he is a very attractive man and a bachelor. And Mr. Tuttle, one cannot say enough about Mr. Tuttle's charms. Tut tut. Poor Mr. Tuttle. Miss Walker, no one else was in the office aside from the three of you. No one else entered while the three of you were there. No. No one. Now, nothing happened between us. Joe, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. No, no one. Now, nothing happened between us, I assure you. We worked, that's all. You mustn't think... No, of course not. Do you know what time it is when you left? Or do you know what time it was when you left? It was exactly 11:15. As Mr. Tuttle handed me up into a cab, Mr. Swarthmore commented on the time and made a joke about my being home before midnight, so as not to turn into a pumpkin or something. I suppose, when one considers it, Mr. Swarthmore is very well dashing. He is... The three of you left together then? Yes. Yes. About the contracts. Where were they being sent? I really don't know, I'm afraid. Oh, that's right, you did mention that you didn't retain what you type. That is curious, isn't it? But in this case, I didn't type the envelopes. Mr. Swarthmore got them from his office and gave them directly to Mr. Tuttle. I believe they were going to various foreign textile firms, although just where I could not say. There was a great deal of secrecy about them, but within the office, it is difficult to keep anything too secret. It's amazing. Contracts were in Mr. Cartwright's sphere, were they not? Why was Mr. Swarthmore, head of the trust division, involved? Well, Mr. Cartwright left the office very suddenly yesterday morning, and the contracts had to be gotten right out. Well, Mr. Cartwright left the office very suddenly yesterday morning, and the contracts had to be gotten right out. And I suppose Mr. Swarthmore just took it upon himself to see that they were completed. Do you know anything of Mr. Cartwright's leave of absence? No, not really. I had just been in his office with the morning mail, and he looked fine. Then he came out all pale and sick-looking and left. You know, a person's health is so important. And that was the last you saw of Mr. Cartwright? Yes. A messenger arrived later in the afternoon with a note saying that Mr. Cartwright would be taking a leave of absence, at which time Mr. Swarthmore volunteered to assist Mr. Tuttle with the contracts, and asked me to stay and do some last-minute typing. Thank you, Miss Walker. You've been most helpful. You're welcome. Silly me. All this time, I've forgotten to offer you some refreshment. I could brew up some tea, and I've baked a fresh pie. I'm a really good cook, even if I do say so myself. My mother always said, no, that's very kind of you. Thank you again, Miss Walker. Goodbye. Yeah.
That thought did not cross our mind.
Although, based on that, Mr. Swarthmore is starting to look a little bit more suspicious.
Considering he
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I defer to the bonus question saying that this is a merger that is going through, but we don't have a motive for murder.
Yeah, I think a
From that
typewriter would be kind of a dead end.
Considering they all left at the same time, like nothing. It sounded like nothing really happened there.
Yeah. Or do we want to say that she's trying to desperately cover up? We didn't have sex. We didn't have a three-way. I promise. We didn't have a three-way. They totally got a three-way.
Semi-confirm that something shady is happening between Mr. Swarthmore and Mr. Tuttle. Do
we think... I guess Cartwright wouldn't have been poisoned, but he suddenly looked ill and left?
Did they...
Was that that night?
But
no,
that was
the previous day, right before he was supposed to hand out the contracts, and then Swarthmore took the responsibility.
theory.
What if Swarthmore, again, because I think he's a little bit more than suspicious at this point, what if he was just testing out his method on Cartwright to make sure he was not going to be in the office the following day? And then, when he saw that it took effect instantly, he also used the same method on Tuttle, just in a slightly higher dose to make sure it did the job. If what
he was trying to kill
Matt was
Cartwright
mentioning earlier, where Tuttle noticed something that he shouldn't have in the previous night when they were working together.
I mean,
You know,
possibly, but that also runs the risk of, if he's experimenting with his poison and his method, that he runs the risk of killing Cartwright.
What if
Either
he
way,
did?
going to Cartwright seems like the right choice, because there's the wife angle and then the potential poisoning angle.
Who knows? Like, we might run into it when we get there, and Whitney's there. He's just like lying in bed, very sick because the poison wasn't enough to straight up kill him.
And by the way, if his wife tries to kiss us, don't kiss her back.
Really now?
No promises.
I'm not. I'm just saying, not from a cheating perspective, but from a she might gack us with her poisoned lipstick.
so we heading to the Cartwright household.
Yeah, I actually didn't take any notes during walkers because that was a jumble.
Yeah. And you wonder why you're still single, Walker?
Swarthmore if Cartwright doesn't give us anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to, like, for the Walker clue, if you just want to write Swarthmore suspicious.
Suspicious question mark?
Yeah, Swarthmore suspicious.
No, I'm putting Swarthmore sus.
Okay.
More kind of sus, maybe? Question mark? Exclamation point? Parenthetical?
Swarthmore equals red. Red is sus.
Too old? Question mark? Too young? Question mark? Underline?
Swarthmore
Alright.
among us?
Yeah, Amogus.
And my cup is dirty. I'm actually using the check your butt cup right now.
That's awesome. I'm still sad you didn't get the one that says college dropout.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little mean. I apologize.
It's always next year. Alright, so Cartwright household.
Yep.
Mhm.
Alright. Address please.
To the Ponderosa, 32 Northwest.
Great.
Great.
Okay. 32 Northwest. At the door to the Cartwright home, the maid informs us that Mr. Cartwright is not at home. Our request
But his
to see
wife?
Mrs. Cartwright instead is met with some resistance, and it is only after our business is explained, and that explanation carried inside, that we are admitted. Mrs. Fay Cartwright is waiting for us in the sitting room. With a few soft-spoken words, she dismisses the maid, who hovers over her protectively, and offers us a seat. In her late 40s, she is an attractive woman, once possessed of great beauty, now waning. She appears very pale, the more so due to the contrast of her very dark hair and eyes. Can you tell us anything about Mr. Cartwright's whereabouts? No. I sent our butler James to inquire at the Criterion Club, but I was hoping you could tell me something. He came home early yesterday and left us this. She hands us a note which reads, I received a note at the office. I know everything. I did not know I could have been so blind. If you love him, I will not stand in your way. Whitney. In answer to our questioning look, she explains, my husband must have found out about Mr. Tuttle and me. The irony of it is that Mr. Tuttle broke off the affair several months ago. She is silent a moment, then goes on to tell us the whole story. Whitney is quite dedicated to the firm, so much so that he is often unable to attend various social functions. So as not to disappoint me, Whitney will have one of the junior clerks escort me while he attends the firm's business. Melvin, Mr. Tuttle, received that assignment for the first time last June. others. They looked upon it as a duty, but Mr. Tuttle seemed to genuinely enjoy my company. He made me feel young and beautiful and desirable. Finally, he declared his love for me. Then, 2.5 months ago, Melvin seemed to change. When I questioned him, he admitted that he was in love with another woman. He wanted to break it off with me. I had not seen or talked to him since that time. 3 days ago, I sent him a message that I wanted to see him. His reply, which I've only just read, was quite firm. He said that it was out of the question. Do you know anything about the note that your husband alluded to? No, I can't imagine who knew about our affair, or why they would wait until after it was over to expose it. If you find my husband, please tell him that I love him, and that I will make it up to him. Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright. Sorry to have troubled you. As we leave, we notice the sign on Ambrecht & Co. Chemists, Ambrecht & Co. Chemists, next door, which reads, "Closed for vacation." Okay.
Oh, look at that, like, last little slib. Just get it in there for us, you know? The chemist's place right there next to there. Why else talk about that?
Okay,
So
so
We shouldn't go there. Just throwing that out there.
Well, they're closed.
Yeah, if they're not open.
so
Just wanted to let
whoever told Whitney about the affair is probably the same person that killed Tuttle.
It's... Well, it sounds like they're trying to expose Tuttle and, like, get him removed from, like, the firm or whatever by going up to Cartwright. I guess, like, a revenge thing. Kind of late to do the revenge thing. But the other thing is, Cartwright said he's not going to get in their way.
Well, exactly. That's why it became murder, because the sabotage through relationship didn't work, so he had to kill him instead.
But why say I won't get in your way if you truly love him?
It showed up 3 days ago, but you
Guys.
just read it, I think.
I have an idea.
Oh, I have Joe muted. Oops.
Also, Cameron, she sent him a message 3 days ago.
Oh,
And
she
he
just
responded
got a
with that.
response. Okay.
She just got the response.
I have a thought.
You have several, Mark. Please share.
Yes, Mark?
I just wanted to make sure.
I no longer care about Mark's thoughts. Okay, what are we doing next?
he had
No.
he had a window.
I'm looking at this page, and like there is the way they present the note is an envelope that is opened.
Would you
with
mind
a piece
sharing
of-
this picture with us?
I mean, it's the note that I just read. It's not what I'm going to say, or this specific note itself doesn't really need to be shared, other than what's in it, which I just read. But we've been thinking it was lipstick.
Yeah, that's why I said,
What
would you
if-
be thinking that?
Oh, it's the way the envelope is linked.
He's licking the envelopes. What if the envelopes are poisoned?
Yeah, because remember the typist was like, "Oh, I didn't type the envelope. I only typed the letter."
And Cartwright had to, or not Cartwright, Swarthmore had to go get him out of his own personal office.
And Cartwright left with an illness.
Who
Yeah.
Because he might
normally
have looked at
does,
a couple envelopes.
he normally does the envelopes.
Yes, he does.
But you got Tuttle over here, who's too much of a worker bee to like care about feeling sick, and he works late and comes in the next day even early. So like he doesn't care if he's feeling sick apparently. Cartwright's like, I was a founder, I'm getting out of here. And they never said they found any traces of the stuff on his lips. They only found it on the cup.
Well, and on the
Yes.
tobacco pipe. And
Well, yeah, but
on,
anything that would have been inside his mouth, not where his lips touched.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to keep saying yes because it is just confirming my suspicion.
I'm going to mute you, Mark, in a second.
Well, but does that mean that whoever it was trying to kill Cartwright, and then accidentally killed Tuttle?
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to
No.
go talk
It
to
said-
Mr. Swarthmore.
Was Cartwright the one that was close to retirement?
No, that was the main person of the firm who's
Oh,
close to
Sydney.
retirement.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Sloan.
Sydney Sloan.
Mhm.
And so Whitney and Cartwright and Swarthmore are the ones to take over. But what if Swarthmore is trying to take out Cartwright to be sole head of this company, and he is the one who is clearly orchestrating this huge merger, which will then draw hopefully like more investors, more contracts, all that other stuff. So he is now like sole possession, big dog of London.
And he's like,
That's
oh,
possible.
That's what I'm thinking.
And he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
one of them's gonna retire. He just kills the other one, and he's in the money.
I need
Did
to
Big Dogs the company go under?
and he's like, well, I need to send out these letters or whatever, but I can't lick this stuff anymore. It's all poisoned from me trying to do that to Cartwright. So now, hey, Tuttle, do you want to?
Well, if that's the case.
Oh,
Well, if that's the case, then why not just make new envelopes? So I think that Tuttle is still an intended target.
Yes, Matt.
I was gonna say Tuttle's also a yes man, so like he would have done it. Like he's an easy. That's why he would like promote it so much to make him like a fall guy type of deal. You know, being a yes man and all that. Like,
Or it's entirely possible that Tuttle knew.
I don't.
But if
know
he knew,
this
then why would he?
matters?
Sorry.
But one more thing is that there is a third woman in the affair, just based on the timelines.
yes,
That we don't know who she is.
Yep.
because
it was the
it's
typist.
or look at
She
no,
was
No,
covering,
no, she would have said
and
something.
that's why she didn't type the letters this time. The envelopes.
And she's like, there was nothing going on between us, I swear. But the thing is, too, as Cameron's pointing out, Tuttle broke it off with Cartwright months ago, but he only told Spring about it a week ago.
Also, it's kind of odd that the typist remembered exactly the time she left. Oh yeah, he just happened to exactly say the time.
Well, she is, you know,
She seems like a busy
a
body,
little
like
out there.
yeah.
Also,
Eccentric.
remember he made a comment. She only knows it was close to midnight because someone made a comment about it being close to midnight.
Yeah,
Swarthmore
but
made a comment
often
that
a
she was
tell
gonna
of
be
someone
back
lying is that they
prior.
remember very specific information. And she
I don't
could have
know,
been
man.
fidgeting and doing stuff because she was nervous she was going to get caught.
I don't know.
I don't know,
remember very
I'm a
specific
lot
information,
like-
and I rarely lie.
Mark, you're a big fat phony.
But the
I'm
thing
not
is, like,
suspicious of.
I'll make a joke or a mnemonic or something to remember specific things, so I don't see that as suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always remembered a type of cell back in biology by calling it the polka dot thing or whatever, and that actually worked. I don't remember what it is now, but I remembered it then.
Well, what is the
Not even
mitochondria?
No,
not
it
like
was
a
a
same
certain.
thing.
It was a certain type of like,
Anyway.
type of cells, but
Okay,
I can name all the presidents in the tune of Yankee Doodle Dandy.
that is fantastic. Regardless, okay, maybe not
Irregardless.
talking to Mr. Swarthmore, but I hate you. But God damn it. So stupid. Anyway,
nobody else said it. I had to dig it.
instead of talking to Mr. Swarthmore, because if he is in fact guilty of something, he's just gonna lie. 'Cause he's a lawyer,
Mhm.
and that's what they do.
Sloan.
What if now we actually do go to the bathhouse to see if he actually showed up?
Yes, please.
It always
Yes,
comes
please.
back to the bathhouse. There is also the Criterion Club or whatever. If we want to talk to Cartwright, Mr. Cartwright.
But that's
Do
if
we
he
really
comes
wanna
back
talk
in
to
anger
Cartwright?
at
It
all.
sounds more like Cartwright's in a disheveled state right now.
Well, here's the thing. What if whoever sent the letter to Cartwright, whoever notified Cartwright is important? But I think if we're just going to go to Cartwright and be like, hey, Cartwright, who told you that there was having an affair? He'd be like, oh, it was Diggs. And it's just like, well, we kind of had a feeling that Diggs had it out for Tuttle.
But why wait so long? If
It's
he
only been
just...
a week.
No, but like
No,
they broke
it's
off
been
the thing
months.
months ago.
Oh,
Well,
Well,
maybe
but he might have just found out
Mhm.
recently,
Or yeah.
and then yeah.
Yeah, Diggs might have just found out recently and is using that as leverage.
Wait, what? Hold on. What is? Diggs. Where is Diggs coming up in this?
So we're saying the one who told Whitney Cartwright about Faye's affair was Diggs, and despite the Tuttle breaking off the affair months ago, Diggs just found out about it and just brought up to Whitney because he was like, "Yo, I used to work for you. I still respect you, blah blah, but I also hate this other guy. So I'm just gonna let you know right now what's been going on."
I'm gonna shut down this theory. This letter is from Whitney to his wife, telling her that he knows she was having an affair.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
We're saying that the person who told him about the affair
told Whitney about it.
Because it got cut off 2.5 months ago. Why did he just suddenly now find out about it?
Yeah.
And Diggs just left the office a week ago.
Now I understand. Okay. Back on the train.
Choo-choo.
Theory no longer shut down.
Correct. Although
Theory
I'm
still forming in the air?
Swarthmore. I'm still in the Swarthmore train.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we're just saying like
all aboard the Swarthmore train, but in the distance I can at least see the Cartwright train.
we're just talking more about who did who told him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems more bonus question territory.
Yeah.
But still.
Of who told Cartwright about the affair? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
we
the
can still
affair is
theorize
related to the
about
murder.
it. Not at all. I think that is a red herring. And I think that Diggs is just a goldfish. I think he has nothing to do with anything.
I still want to know who the third woman is.
How did we go from
Again,
birds to
probably
fish?
bonus question territory, but
We might find out about that.
Possible. There's exactly. What if the third woman is not actually a woman but a man?
What if the third woman's
the
actually
bathhouse.
Moriarty and he's just using that I'm a womanizer to use that as a thing to get out and work more with him?
Exactly.
There you go.
Alex, what were we gonna say?
Nothing. It was stupid.
What if that other woman is the woman from the last case, the boxer's girlfriend?
it's all coming together.
We all know how that's gonna end.
The webs are all connecting.
I mean, it already ended, Matt. He's dead.
And she's in jail, hopefully.
All right. So
Twist. None of the criminals we actually identify are being arrested. They're just like, okay,
yeah, right.
you figured it out. That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
so-
Sherlock just absolves him like he does in all the games. You know, it's like it's just fine. You know.
Well, I mean, think about it. We always go to Sherlock, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I already solved this." And it's like, well, then why are we out talking to people? Why didn't you arrested this person?
Did you tell Lestrade yet? Like, what's going on?
Because then there wouldn't be a game, Alec.
Okay, I like how
Trying to break that immersion.
that's a good thing. Like, Sherlock's just like pulling the what's his brother's name?
Mycroft?
Frank.
Yeah, he's just pulling the Mycroft. Like, yeah, I solved it in my head. You know, like I would have gone to these places, but you know, I solved like Mycroft just does in his head. So.
Well, as we know with this case, Sherlock is actually tripping balls and is playing plucking strings on a violin. So
synesthesia going on.
Also
exactly. I don't think he's helping us right now.
I don't know, man. I kind of okay. So the two places I want to mark down to go after we finish the case. I want to see what Sherlock would have said and what Ambrecht and co-chemists would have said. Just because, like, they're closed for vacation, but they might be like, "Yo, we still investigate because why not?" And that's where they
We
find
break in. And
Yeah,
find
exactly.
The poison we're looking for.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're like the street kids or whatever. So we find China berry poison, in
Exactly.
there. And
Yeah.
it smells like lilac in there.
Oh.
And Nightshade. So we go into the bathhouse.
Bathhouse.
Is that where we're going? Is that what we decided?
I can't believe we're actually going to the bathhouse.
All right, we're doing it. This guy's
doing
doing it.
Is bathhouse have
going,
1H
boys.
or 2?
One.
What is the address of the bathhouse?
I did not look it up. I think it's like 11 East Central though.
It is 11 EC. I remember that's what Mark said earlier.
Okay, does
Look it
bathhouse
up
have
again.
1 or 2 H's though? Seriously.
It's
It
two words.
is
Okay.
Bell's
Yes, 2 words.
Baths. It's not even bathhouse. It is Bell's Baths.
So EC for easy choice, right?
East Central. But yes.
Damn it! I knew
And this
that.
makes the 7th place we've gone to.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're gonna get all the bonus questions. We know what's up. We've cracked this bitch wide open.
Remember last time we tried going for score? It did not work out for us.
Would we get? We failed.
Remember last time when we just gave up and we're like, let's just answer the questions because we've been doing this for 5 hours and we end up getting everything right?
I'm just saying, like, I stopped caring about going to, like, too many places at this point. Like, we've only been doing this for an hour and 45 minutes.
Because we efficient.
All right.
I don't think
11
that's what I call it.
PC. We enter
Easy
Bell's
company.
baths and are approached by a seedy-looking elder, broom in hand, whose generously tattooed forearms tell a tale of life on the salt sea. Shipwrecked now, he seems to us out of place in the opulent surroundings of this leisure-class haunt. But since no one else seems to question his presence, and his directions to the manager's office prove accurate, we do not dwell on it overmuch. Our knock on the manager's door is answered by a booming, "Come in." Once inside, we find Mr. Filbert Reike, a giant of a
Reiki.
man, R-A-I-K-E. Either way, Mr. Filbert R., a giant of a man, both in height and breadth, is dressed in a broad-striped suit, which, given his tremendous bulk, borders on the ridiculous. A diamond stickpin of considerable size and doubtful value gleams from the folds of his back cravat. His hair is slicked down with enough of a sweet-smelling pomade
Yep. I use
to cause tearing at close range. In all respects of sound, sight, and smell, Mr. R is a formidable personage indeed. With the aid of what must be very powerful legs, he rises from behind his desk to greet us.
That's messed up.
Did we find Kingpin? Did we find
That-
the
I was
Sherlock Holmes
just
version of
thinking
Kingpin?
I was thinking, and then you said the hair, and I was like, ah, maybe not.
Yeah, hair. But
Is
like
it too-
everything
too
about the
soon?
build is just Kingpin.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, at first, his manner is extremely affable. No doubt he
Uh-oh.
initially thinks of us as prospective customers, and so exudes an appropriate oily charm. But once we make known our business, his manner abruptly changes. He plops down into his chair and eyes us with a mixture of caution and malevolence.
Don't speak to
Mr.
no
Henry
cops.
Swarthmore is a member of the club, is he not? I believe he was here this morning. Did he meet anyone? I do not pry into my customers' affairs. Whether he met anyone or not, I would not know.
Yeah,
Was
he met
Mr.
somebody.
Was Mr. Melvin Tuttle a member? Yes, until last week. He resigned. Did he give any reason for his resignation? Not that I recall. Did Mr. Swarthmore bring Mr. Tuttle into the club? No. I mean, I have no idea. I'm afraid I have no more time for your questions. I'm a very busy man. Good day. As we are about to leave, the old salt first encountered approaches us again. Now, if he comes to old Jack Jensen in the first place, it'd be, oh my goodness, this guy.
I already
You
love
gotta
him.
speak it. You gotta speak it in the Cockney accent, otherwise it's really hard to
It's
read.
not gonna be Cockney, but it's gonna be dumb. If you's come to old Jack Jensen in the first place, and save you the royal runaround, he whispers, stabbing his thumb to emphasize his point. We understand and pass him a few coins. Thank you. This'll go down well tonight at the Bar Gold.
I'm fairly certain
down
this
to
guy is a
business.
goblin.
Mr. Swarthmore met Mr. Livingston this morning. Mr. Livingston? The builder? That's him. He owns the place. Used to be first mate aboard the Glenda, sailing the China trade. Back in '58, the captain met with an unfortunate accident, or so it was said. Mr. Livingston brought the Glenda through. The owners was so pleased, they give up and gives him the captain's share and a fat bonus to boot. That's when he quits the sailor's life and set up for itself for shore. We were shipmates on that voyage. So was Mr. R. Of course, he was a mite less plump in them days. Anyway, this morning Mr. R cleaned out Mr. Tuttle's locker and brought the stuff to his office. Mr. Swarthmore and Mr. Livingston were there waiting for a look-see.
So, Mr. Swarthmore and Mr. Livingston are fast friends?
Been thick as thieves for a long time. Mr. Tuttle joined in, 3-4 months back.
What were they looking for in the locker?
Don't know. Didn't find it though. Swarthmore was in a dither, let me tell ya.
We thank him for his help and he jingles the coins as if to say, "You're welcome."
So who's Livingston?
Yeah, that was super important. I mean, that
Yo,
basically
that
confirmed
is
what we
not
knew.
what you told us about the bathhouse.
No.
So do we think it was Swarthmore?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
he took a ship to China, and its China berry was the poison.
Oh, right. Yeah. And he was already kind of sus for talking to Brenda.
He was super sus. This is just more confirmation.
Like, if this was Among Us, we'd just vote him out and throw him overboard right now, but...
Send him out the airlock. Fuck this guy.
No, he's on a boat, so we literally just sent him overboard. Oh, I have Joe muted again.
So, whatever possibly was in Mr. Oh, wait, no. Anyway, this morning, Mr. R cleaned out Mr. Tuttle's locker and brought the stuff to his office.
Mm-hmm. And then Livingston and Swarthmore took a look at it. They were looking for something, didn't find it, and they left. Do you think it's evidence
So-
that...
We go to the Tuttle residence. And the only reason I'm saying that is to try and to confirm what he might have had in his locker. Obviously, Reiki cleaned out the locker, but if Livingston and Swarthmore were trying to have a look, what if something that was in the locker is also at Tuttle's place?
Don't you think that they would have checked that too?
Not legally.
Well, murder is also not legal,
Did
so...
I cut out?
Yes, you did.
Okay. What did you hear?
The end of your
I asked.
question, right before I said anything, I did not hear a word from you. Or after.
Okay. I think we should go to Tuttle's place to see if there is more of whatever he had in his locker that Mr. Reiki cleaned out.
Like, he took it himself when he left the thing. Like, when he
Most of
resigned
it.
from it, he just, like, took
Yeah.
some stuff back to his place.
Yeah, he took whatever was important out of his locker. But then Mr. Reiki just cleaned the rest of it out.
You know, honestly, I'm surprised we haven't gone to his address yet.
I mean, it didn't seem really necessary to begin with.
Yeah.
But now it seems... But now, I guess... So... I think we should go there, but the question I pose is, do we think it's necessary?
Well, I mean,
Like, how
my
comfortable do we
my only
feel
concern...
right now?
Well, my only concern is if
I
we
still
go
feel like we're
there
missing
and
a
then
little
find
bit,
out.
but I don't know what we would be missing, to be completely honest. Because
Well, I'm also curious to know what it is we would find there,
like
because
if we
go
assume,
there and...
like, you know, the first couple questions are who killed him and why.
We're gonna say
Like, the only
Swarthmore,
thing-
sure, but, like, we don't have any definitive proof.
Sure, and that's what I'm kind of getting at right now. Is like we don't really have a solid why.
We don't have any motive.
I believe the solid why is at Tuttle residence.
As of course, we go to the Tuttle residence and find it ransacked with all the answers already taken.
Then we go to Swarthmore's place. And then
And
we start,
ransack him.
we just
Yeah.
start going down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got no better alternatives.
Yeah, fuck the points. Sherlock did it in four turns anyway. Let's just go confirm this.
Yeah, he didn't even know. He didn't even need to go to Walker's place. He just like sophomores are already kind of sus.
Sophomore hella sus.
Anyone else have any input?
No, I think the only question left we have to answer is, like, what were they looking for? And I honestly don't know where we're gonna find that.
Yeah.
Joe?
Have you been hearing me this entire time?
Kind of, but like only like your yas and stuff like that.
I've
That's
been
all-
hearing Joe fine.
Yeah, he
Okay.
said some things.
Oh, okay.
He
So,
did.
Let me refresh.
Do you have him muted because of his fan going?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think my Discord is just being annoying because apparently I'm the one who kept getting cut out, and I'm having apparently hard times hearing all of you. So
Cameron, it's
one sec.
Neo too all over
I'm
again.
gonna refresh. I know.
Mhm.
Internet.
Click that.
Yeah.
That's funny because I've been trying to say words, and clearly it has been working out for me.
Oh, you just left and
But
rejoined. You didn't
ultimately-
like close Discord.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Thank you,
never your
appreciate it.
fault. It's always Mark's internet's fault. Fuck Spectrum.
Yes.
Nah.
Always blame
Naturally.
Spectrum.
Oh
Right,
god.
now I
fuck
can hear everybody.
Spectrum.
Fantastic. Yes, I
Fantastic.
have Spectrum.
Dude, they keep trying
know.
to get me to sign up for them. Like, I have AT&T Fiber. I am not going to you.
Don't go to Spectrum. Good lord, don't go to Spectrum. By the way, anyone watching this Twitch stream, don't go to Spectrum. You can do better. Please don't hate yourself.
Thanks,
But
Joe. I'll take that into account.
Thank you. No problem, Alec. So, as I was saying previously, I don't expect to find any answers at Tuttle's place simply because if what's his name? Sawthorne? I've totally forgot his name right now. Sophomore is looking for something. I feel as though Tuttle's place is the first place that he would have gone, right? And he would have done a thorough search of that. But encounter of a other solution or other location that we could do in order to potentially have more information, I don't have any. So I'm just saying that Tuttle's is an option, but I will not be surprised if we go there and this is like the door's locked, you can't get in. Kind of a deal.
Who knows? The police may have cordoned it off because, like, it's a murder victim's house and they would let us in maybe because we're who we are with Sherlock.
It is
Remember,
weird that
kids.
Lestrade didn't say anything about finding something at his residence.
They never said he went to his residence, too, though.
Yeah.
You
Remember,
would think
kids,
they
it's all
would,
about
though.
who you know. Well, remember, this is the London police. They kind of just sit on their heels and they're like, well, this case looks complicated. Let's just get Sherlock to do it. Better yet, let's just get Sherlock's cronies to do it.
We'll ask Sherlock, and if he doesn't want to do it, I guess we'll go ask the kids that, like, or just are on the streets that hang
Exactly.
out at Sherlock's place.
They're outsourcing their outsource. What the fuck does that make us?
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm currently doing at my real job, is we're outsourced from somebody else who's outsourced.
Yep, sounds like bureaucracy to me. All right, let's just go to Tuttle,
Okay.
who I'm sure is in the morgue. Tuttle's place, sorry.
7 West Central.
7
Well, I mean-
West Central.
I got no better answers. Does anyone else have any other bright ideas?
No.
Not really.
No.
I still want to find that third woman, but we have no lead.
Exactly. Who is this? You're also assuming it's a woman.
That is very
Okay,
true.
again, we can go down the gay rabbit hole. I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Okay. All right. That's enough of that. Anyway,
What?
all right.
Yes?
7 West Central. Tuttle's landlady kindly lets us into his flat, which we find in a shambles.
Yep,
It is
called it.
evident that not a nook or cranny had been left untouched by the intruders.
Yep.
As we pick among the rubble, we find several things of interest. First, there is Tuttle's bank book from the Bank of England. The last 3 months showed a marked increase in deposits. Next, there is an earring, inexpensive costume jewelry, such as one might purchase in a department jewelry store. Finally, There are 2 letters. One has no return address and is dated 23 June. It reads, Darling, I cannot accept that this is over. Please, please come to see me. I love you beyond all caring. Faye. The other is actually one of a series of letters with the same return address. VM, 25 Chichester Street, Southwest.
Vox Machina.
Yes. We find 24 such letters dating as far back as December 17th, 1889.
Jesus Christ.
The one we choose at random is dated March 10, 1890, and reads in part 10th March, 1890. Your high spirits on Sunday gave me great hope. I believe in you, and know that you will one day overcome Father's objections. But know that if it takes longer than you wish... Wait. Your high spirits on Sunday gave me great hope. I believe in you, and know that you will one day overcome Father's objections. But know that if it takes longer than you would wish, I will wait. I will wait forever, if need be. Ginny.
Weasley?
No.
Is there any other? Oh.
So who do we think father is?
Probably like a high. It sounds like he'd be a prestigious man because like objections, you know, usually that's like something to do with status. Did I say projections? I mean objections.
Well, we have the address, I guess.
Hey guys, I think we finally found who the third woman is.
Yeah.
That you will one day overcome Father's objection.
So it's a sister.
That was my
But it
neat
says, I
thing.
will wait forever if need be. I'm very confused. Father is capitalized, though.
Yeah,
I
like
think
that's
just
proper
how she's
English.
referring to her own father.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to marry her, but...
Oh,
Dad
right.
doesn't agree.
Okay, what were the initials?
Sure.
VM?
VM, 25 Chichester Southwest.
Okay, let me just...
About that,
25 SW.
So what conclusion did we come to? I was talking to my roommate.
Hold on, I'm looking up who 25 Southwest is, and oh, wait, that's not gonna work.
We may have found the third woman. That's basically
So,
it.
it is not a gay relationship, but it is an incestuous relationship. Possibly.
Southwest, you said?
What?
I don't know about that.
Hold on. How? What?
25 Southwest?
25
25
Southwest.
Chichester Southwest.
Could someone please explain to me why you think it's an incestuous relationship?
We
Because
could.
she refers to her dad just as father, not
And
as my
father has objections about her and him being together. 25 Southwest. There, it's Bessie Dearth, but there's also like 37 Southwests or 25s in here, so like there could be like. Oh,
Is it Chichester Southwest?
I don't.
Yes.
Just want to say that culturally speaking, father, just saying father does not, it's just like, father would never approve of this.
That's-
Doesn't
Hey,
necessarily
I
mean
also
it's
said
a
that.
relationship.
That's
Okay.
Emily Good and Charles Good. So I think that this address is more of like either a PO box or like a multiple families live here. Yeah, there's Duncan
Yeah,
Keckler.
That's how they are. That's how they typically are in this game.
Okay, I'm looking for somebody with the initials VM at it.
If
Mark, you have one randomly in here as
That says
25 QP.
20. Yeah, Queen's Park.
Oh, that's one of
Wait,
the places.
but are
it is?
the initials VM? Because her name is Jenny.
Jenny.
The return address V.M.
Philip Nugent. Wait, honey, you have a filter on this thing, right? There's no filter.
But someone's clearly already been here and ransacked the place. Was there anything else? Just the letters?
That's what it says.
All right.
I just-
So
Also,
then,
Tuttle's bank book showing that the last 3 months showed a marked increase in deposits. So I'm curious, what if Tuttle was funneling from the company? And
Okay.
what's his name
To
found
Jenny,
out? Whoa!
or just to himself.
What did you just do?
I sorted by the thing. I'll change it in a second. It's super easy to change back. I'm just trying to find all the 25 Southwest easier.
This didn't sort.
By the C column alphabetically, so they're all together in each of their things. It's super easy to fix.
Are you sure?
Yes, dude. I do
Are
that all
you
the time.
sure about
Okay.
that?
All right, I'm just making sure.
Best. Okay, so let's see.
Mark doesn't want
Here's
all his hard work going to waste.
I don't. That is very true.
Clotilda Bale, Bessie Dirth, Charles Good, Emily Good, Duncan Keckler, Phyllis Nugent, Spaniards Inn. That's probably for the actual name, and that's it. Those are everybody
so
at
it's hard to
25
find, and
Southwest.
she's probably not that important.
I'm just saying that's everybody at 25 Southwest. There you go, Mark. Fixed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's. Well, we know who this other woman. We don't know who this other woman is, but we know there is another woman.
We know a first name and some initials that don't match the first name.
Yeah. But I'm more interested in what it is because I'm pretty sure that Sizemore, whatever the fuck his name is, already been through here. I'm just wondering what it is that he found, or if he found it.
Yeah, I agree. I think
You know?
Rathbun was definitely involved.
Mm-hmm. Just keep on pronouncing his name wrong every time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do we see any way we're gonna
Fair.
figure out what it is that they were looking for that he had?
No idea. I am going to this really quickly. Do we have a newspaper from a case that is around that time?
Yeah, the one random one they chose is going to be like the perfect that we need.
Hey, it is possible. No, April.
What
11th.
is? I'm curious to know about the money because also if the higher up, do you think it's a payoff? Do you think it's a bribe to keep quiet? And Tuttle said, "No, I'm not going to keep quiet anymore." But it's weird because as a yes man, you would think that he would, right? Especially if he's getting money.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, he
I'm
was working
basically
with
just thinking aloud.
Swarthmore up
Oh, you're good.
until
I'm
he
missing the
died.
newspaper.
So it doesn't really seem like he stopped being a yes man.
So then why was he
I'll find it
murdered?
later.
That is the $64,000 question.
Only $64,000? I don't settle any case for less than 65.
Well, remember, with inflation, that's actually worth a lot more now.
Oh, you're right. God, fucking inflation.
Where is... So, okay. Hold on. The 25 Chichester, Southwest. Where is Chichester?
That's an excellent question. Where is Chichester? Where is Highchester?
Across from Lowchester.
I hope your stream gets taken down.
Wow.
I was on the verge of like coughing really bad. I got that joke out and immediately just started dying over here.
Good. That was retribution. That was the world saying no in one collective voice.
I was finishing off my drink and there was just a tiny piece of ice that just came up the straw in the back of my throat. I had time to get out that one thing and I was just like, okay, that's it.
That is pretty damn funny.
Okay. You said Southwest.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look for Chichester Street.
Look for 25 first, and you'll probably find it a lot easier.
But I'm curious if, like, for
It's
some
the very bottom.
stupid reason... You're right, there it is. Okay.
Zooming in actually makes this thing smaller, and that is stupid.
So... There is one VM who does live in Southwest, but it's not 25.
How did you find one? Oh, is it just VM something?
looking in the directory. Virginia Monroe, 43 Southwest.
Where is that in relation to?
Is Ginny short for Virginia?
Yes.
It could be. 43 is not
Or
close.
if I know any
I never
Jennies,
said it was
it's
close.
because it's short for Genevieve.
Yeah, I
Is
didn't say it was
Jenny
close.
with a
Jennifer?
J or a G?
G, like Ginny Weasley. J.
That's why, yeah.
G-I-N-N-Y.
Okay, then
So,
that leads more credence to that.
but like, why 25?
It is an inn. It's like a common place that you could send a letter from, and like it's not gonna be tracked.
25 Southwest?
Yes, 25 Southwest is Spaniards Inn.
Oh!
So like you could easily send something from there, and if somebody tries to return it, well, it's like, I don't know, whose is this? It's just
That
like,
way they can't track it back to her.
yeah, that's what the last thing on the directory for 25 Southwest is.
Now it's getting suspicious.
So you said it, Virginia something?
Virginia Monroe, 43 Southwest. And I'm pretty sure that is like one of the only VMs in the directory.
Yeah, there's no easy way of filtering through all that.
I know.
No, like
That's why I've just been
yeah.
sitting here looking at the directory for the past few minutes.
I added a way that we can filter out every location except for like Southwest now.
Gotcha. Cool. There is a Vivian Mullet, but that's in the Queen's Park case, so that is not somewhere we can go. So that is literally the only VM that is accessible to us.
Oh, hey, personal in the paper from VM.
Where?
MT, MT, look at Melvin Tuttle. Very glad to hear from you. Right soon. Same address. All it says in the personals.
Wow.
I just hope had it.
Damn, Matt, you cracked.
Hey, I didn't read it first. I just looked at personals. It's
That's
top
cool.
one.
It is. It is true.
Yeah, I think now we start looking through the newspaper a little bit, but
That's what I'm doing right now. Technology of textile design, being a practical treatise on the construction and application of weaves for all textile fabrics, with minute reference to the latest inventions for weaving, by E.A. Posselt. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Author of the Jacquard Machine, Analyzed and Explained, and C142 volume, with over 100 illustrations, cloth, 28 shilling stuff. I don't know. I just saw textiles.
This is going.
What was Livingston's name? First name? Did it
I
say?
never looked it up. I'll look it up right now. There are two Livingstons. Cedric, which is 50 southwest, and ES.
Yeah, but did it say the Livingston first name in the clue that we went to when we went to
They
the
just
bats?
said the builder. That's it.
Damn it. Okay, because in the newspaper, Strand improvement imminent. Backside, top left. Strand improvement imminent. Plans for the transformation of part of Holborn are being earnestly studied by members of the London City Council. Besides the new tree-lined streets to be created, there will be a tunnel for the trams which will run underground for a half-mile before surfacing on the embankment. As with all such developments, in which poorer sections of crowded housing are to be removed, the plans designate generous recreation and park space. The private contractor's name, most often mentioned in association with the plans for this street, is that of Cedric Livingston. His ambitious developments in the past have generally been quite successful, and the plans he has submitted for the new 100-foot wide Kingsway, as the street is being tentatively called, are gaining favor with the council members. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but Livingston and Hornsby
Swarthmore.
are doing some very shady stuff. Throwing that out there.
Who's Hornsby?
Bigglesworth. Dang it, did I lose you guys again?
No.
No, you're good.
Joe has
Okay.
muted himself, and I wonder if he realizes that. But
Joe has definitely muted himself. Joe is eating food in the kitchen because my brain is starting to hurt and my head don't think so good with my brain. What?
hey, Mark, what I say earlier?
You're not wrong. You did say that was going to happen.
What? What did you say earlier?
that somebody
That's
Hey.
somebody.
was gonna go into the kitchen and be muted.
And also be eating.
Yes.
Bitch, I need food. Let me just ASMR chew on your stream.
I will mute you. Okay, thank you. I really don't know where else to go at this point.
It's like we can chase down the potential rabbit hole that is this Virginia Monroe. If she does indeed go by Ginny.
I think we already know, like, the question's probably just going to be who was the affair with.
Or like the third person in there, you know?
Yeah.
So
I don't
I
think
think-
we need more information from her.
Who is Virginia
So-
Monroe?
Alright, so then where else should we go if we need to go anywhere else? That's the other thing. I just don't know.
Okay, let us ask ourselves, as we do every time across this point,
Sure.
what do we think the questions are going to be? Who killed Melvin Tuttle?
Swarthmore.
Okay, Swarthmore. How?
Poison
Who's goes poison?
via envelopes.
What type of poison?
China...
I say
China
China.
berry.
Yeah, China berry.
Chinabary.
Why?
Reasons that are his own.
I'm wondering
Monetary
if...
gain.
Yeah, obviously something financially. I'm curious if... Obviously Swarthmore and Livingston are good buds. And so I'm sure there's some sort of contract between the two. I'm wondering if they are doing something shady that Tuttle found out. God, I honestly don't know.
And they went through his apartment to take away the evidence of their shady dealings.
Yeah.
But Tuttle was being
So that way the
paid,
police don't
which
find him.
implies that. But Tuttle was being paid, so it implies that Tuttle was in on the deal.
Not necessarily. Just because he was being paid doesn't mean he was in on the deal. Maybe he was working closely with what's his name, not necessarily to learn or glean anything, but to be kept close and watched to make sure he wasn't doing anything he shouldn't be doing.
And that's part of the reason why he was promoted. The other thing is, he might have just started getting paid more because he was promoted recently.
Or what if that is what leverage he had over? What if that was his thing with Swarthmore? He's like, hey, you need to promote me because I have this information on you, and I will take it somewhere if need be. The only reason
That is certainly possible.
it is possible, but why would what's his name take so long to kill him? If that is indeed the case.
Maybe he had to find a way of like
Maybe it's got
getting
something to do with the new merger.
Oh, what if it was literally, yeah, what if there was the new merger, there was going to be more money incoming, he knew about the merger, he's like, hey, if there's more money incoming to you, that means you better increase my pay, otherwise I'm going to spill the beans. And so he just got to the point where, you know, he didn't want to pay that much more, because once you start paying a blackmailer, you're going to keep paying him more and more. And again, it was confirmed in his bank statements that he was increasing his payments every month or deposits every month. So I'm curious if he was just blackmailing Swarthmore, got that new position solely for that reason. Swarthmore wanted to keep an eye on him, just so that way, you know, nothing too shady. And then eventually it just got to be too much to where Swarthmore killed him.
I could see that. Do we think Mr. Cartwright was just caught in between, like accidentally? Or do you
I
think
do.
he also had some insider knowledge?
No, I think Cartwright's only big deal was sure he was like devoted to the company, but he was also devoted to his wife, and so like he seemed like a man that was like kind of trying to stretch himself a little thin, but was still kind of.
Although
on the
to be
company
fair,
side.
if he's devoted to the company, he's probably not on the up and up. He probably has done some shady stuff for the business specifically.
It's a law firm, of course he has.
Probably. I guess it's possible that he wasn't even poisoned, and that he just happened to be sick at that extremely convenient time.
Well, I don't think it's even extremely convenient. I think he's more like taking a reprieve from the business because he just found out that like the love of his life, that one of his two big passions, has been cheating on him for months.
I was wondering about that.
And then so he's just like,
they said he looked like pale and ill, but I guess that could have just been like emotional turmoil.
yeah,
Yeah,
not
shock.
so much a
Although I-
sabbatical, but not a sabbatical.
So I
That's
am
not the word.
genuinely curious. Again, going back to my earlier theory, if Swarthmore wanted to take over the company for himself because he knew that, again, the person Sloan is retiring, you know, he poisoned the envelopes, which again, it did say that Cartwright was in charge of the contracts. So since he was the one normally in charge of sending them out, if he had licked one of the envelopes closed, then that's how he would have fallen ill. But only licking one, and again at his old age, it hit quicker than
Then 11.
Oh.
Look, yeah, you got 11 of them. The other thing though too is, what if Swarthmore's the one who told Cartwright about the affair between Tuttle and Faye, and that's like even more to like just like drive him out for
just
a
to
while.
put
or
him in
something.
a more distressed state
Yes,
to
That is
possibly
certainly
even
a
cause like
possibility.
because like
heart attack or something.
it doesn't seem like Tuttle would be too upset if like it got out that he and Faye were a thing for a while, because he broke it off months ago. And he's
Sure.
like cold calculating all that stuff. He's like, yeah, whatever. But like maybe it's like so that blackmail didn't work back, but he's like, I still have this information, I can still use it.
But it's still viable that Cartwright could have fired him. Cartwright could have fired him instead.
I guess.
Death is cheaper and easier.
Less loose ends.
Yeah. All right. Any idea what the bonus questions could be?
Who was merging or what? where was the merger happening, or who and who with?
Okay.
Which is Heth, whatever his name was, in the German textiles.
Oh, you think the Germans were in on it too?
No, in the article, it was a merger between the firms and textiles in Germany.
Oh yeah, that's actually kind of interesting to think about too, because like half of their like 4 or whatever were going to like the places that had like really good stocks recently.
Mhm.
So it's like, hey, just to let you know, we're merging with your number 1 benefactor or whatever over here in London, so you're gonna be working with us. Yeah,
And Germans very.
Germans are probably on vacation, dude, at this point. What?
Truly the Dogecoin of their era. So, do we want to answer the questions then?
I
up to
think
you
we
guys.
should at this point. We just passed
Yeah, so
in
too.
5 minutes we'll be doing this for 2.5 hours, so I think it's a good point to start doing the questions.
Okay.
We had 9 stops, is that right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8.
I have 8.
Great. Even better.
Okay. Are we 100% going to the questions? Before
Yeah.
If anybody
I
has any
turn back to the book.
objections, speak now or forever hold your butt.
The only
I'll
place
forever
I
hold my
think
butt regardless.
the only place that we did not go to that I could even think about going to is Swarthmore's place at this point, or even just like the office in general. But
I don't think we're gonna find anything there.
true.
The office is probably
Swathmore-
closed at this point. Everybody's home.
If Swarthmore's in on it, he's just lying, and I agree about the offices probably being closed.
What's the
The
name
only
of the?
hope is like we see something like in his papers at Swarthmore's place that is,
True.
it's like, oh, that's what he got from Tuttle's apartment or something. Like, I don't know.
He's actually very bad at hiding stuff, so he actually has a file just out there on his desk that says all the shady shit I've ever done. TXT.
Yeah, he ransacks an apartment and then just like leaves it out in the open on his desk.
Yeah. It's like, buddy, you're clearly not very good at this. How have you not been caught so far?
What's the name of the insurance company? One last time, anybody write that down?
State Farm.
Allstate. What's in your wallet?
Geico.
Progressive?
Chemists.
It was said at the very beginning
insurance
during
company.
the briefing.
California
doing this.
Casualty.
Geico.
Or said
It was
Geico.
already said.
Damn it. Fuck.
You lose.
AAA.
Oh, yeah, we got a new one.
Liberty Mutual.
Liberty.
The General.
That's right. I was about to say the penguin one, but I think the general does have a penguin in his advertisements.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah, Matt, where was this insurance company that you're mentioning?
Wasn't it mentioned at the very beginning of like the briefing?
No.
Okay, Joe. Yeah, because I wrote down something, somebody insurance. Like it was like Tuttle worked for this. It was at 10 a.m. that the body was found at this insurance place. Like,
No, it's the firm.
I don't know. I have wrote down insurance for some reason, and I thought that was like or what's the name of the law firm then?
Something and something.
Swarthmore and Cartwright?
Oh, it was Sloan,
Yeah.
Swarthmore, and okay, yeah, because I wasn't sure about the name of it, and I don't. For some reason, I heard insurance firm.
At
Because there are
approximately
3
10
last
o'clock
names.
This morning, I received a communication from the offices of Sloan, Swarthmore, and Cartwright. No doubt
Okay.
you are aware that they are one of the most prestigious law firms in all of London. Trust
Okay.
funds under their care amount to many millions, and they advise the world's largest companies in their contract negotiations.
All right, yeah, I just for whatever reason wrote down as an insurance firm.
So you clearly have been proven unreliable, so anything you say further will be taken with multiple grains of salt.
Well, to be fair, at the beginning, I was kind of waiting for like all the information to really start coming, and we hadn't gotten to it yet.
No, I'm gonna go with my excuse.
So how's dinner?
It was actually pretty good.
All
it
right,
was
muting-
reheated. Okay.
I'm like, all right, down and mute Joe and go to the
Dick.
questions while he's talking.
You're the
Let's
one
do
who
it.
doesn't mute themselves when you're not talking. We just hear like random things opening and closing and.
All right,
I'm confused as how.
Mark, question
Anyway.
time.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
I got one from Matt.
Yeah.
Got one from Joe. One from Alec. And
Doesn't matter what Cameron says at this point.
well, Cameron is already
Overruled.
expressed.
Cameron's worth all 5 of us.
All right, question 1. Who killed Melvin Tuttle?
Swarthmore.
Swaththorn.
Slim Jim.
How was he killed?
Poisoned envelope.
China berry on the envelope.
Why?
China
was he
berry
killed?
on envelope.
Question 3. Why was he killed?
Because he was blackmailing Swarthmore.
Yes. Let's do
And we're
that.
certain it's that and not the affair at all, right?
Yeah.
If it's Swarthmore, yes, it's got to be the blackmail. Because the affair
because
was
I'm not-
between him and Cartwright.
What if it was all of
Don't.
them?
Everyone killed.
What, like the 3 owners?
No, the 3 owners, yeah.
Then why not just fire him?
Question 4. Who was the killer's accomplice?
Livingston. Or do we think it was the typist?
I don't
Oh,
think
I'm
it was
on-
the typist.
I'm on board with Livingston.
I think it was Livingston.
Okay.
If there is an accomplice,
Alright.
it's Livingston.
I think there is one, Mark. I
In
think
my
that's what the question just asked. Who was the killer's accomplice? Nobody. That's a trick question.
It is very possible. This is Sherlock. I'm not going to put it past this game.
Fair. But I think Livingston was the accomplice, considering that they had the meeting, they went through his stuff, his place was seemingly ransacked, like...
Alright. Question 5. To whom was Tuttle secretly engaged?
Danny?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Virginia Monroe?
Virginia.
Alright, so those were the first set of questions. Part 2. Why did Cartwright leave the office suddenly?
He found out about the affair.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with that.
Wait, hon, Virginia, what was her last name?
Monroe.
Monroe.
I'm writing all these down. Okay.
So Cartwright fell ill because of the affair.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah,
emotionally.
Like he
it
felt
was too
heartsick,
much.
yeah. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board. Question 7. Why did Miss Spring see Tuttle on the morning of his murder?
To return the gift that he gave her.
Okay. Question 8. What is Diggs' hobby?
Fuck
Again,
if
this
I
is-
know.
This is bonus question stuff, so this means that if we thought Diggs was involved, then we could have probably found this out.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything in the newspaper? I'm just gonna take a quick...
Botany.
The
No, there
opera.
Oh!
Ooh, that's interesting.
Could be.
I am gonna say cricket, but okay. I like
Oh,
opera.
wait,
It was-
cricket was mentioned.
It wasn't
Yeah.
Diggs that mentioned it though. It was the like
Yeah, it was
autopsy.
The
right?
doctor. Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm saying cricket is because I've heard cricket today.
But I don't know about opera is a pretty good one too.
Opera is good.
But opera isn't a hobby though.
Going to the
Yeah, it
opera.
is.
What's your
can be.
hobby?
Going to see opera, like plays and
Going
stuff at
to
the
the
opera.
opera.
The Met. They would say like the Met. The
I
Met
have
is my
box
hobby.
seats at the opera house. I go quite
Yeah.
often.
Well,
I-
then why
I-
isn't he going with the Mrs. Cartwright?
He has 2 tickets, and he's trying to get Miss Spring to go, but she never wants to go with him.
Could be the opera.
I don't know. I just said that
Alright,
randomly
so-
because it was mentioned that people like to go to the
We should-
opera.
If I'm gonna lean towards something, I'm gonna say cricket.
Yeah, we should come to at least a group,
I like cricket.
either a majority.
I just said the opera because that's what was it Cartwright's thing?
Yeah. And I said cricket just because it has been said at one point during...
I kind of like cricket. That's a
It's such absurd reasoning. I just have to go with it.
All right,
Which one?
so we're
Go with
leaning
opera.
cricket.
I'll be the odd man out here.
I think
Alright.
that's probably the
Alright.
smarter play, but Cricket's more funny.
All right. So stamp collecting. Cool.
I will write down stamp collecting as our official answer, Mark.
All right. So what are we actually going? We were going with cricket.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cricket.
So here we go. I'm going in.
Wait, those only 3 bonus questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck.
Okay. Question 1. Who killed Melvin Tuttle?
Swarthmore.
Correct. 20 points. Question 2. How was he killed?
Poison. Does it need to be more specific? On the envelope.
China berry poison is what we said.
It doesn't say China berry, but it does say poison on the contract envelopes which Tuttle sealed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
20
Good job,
points.
Mark.
20 points, you said?
Question 3. Why was he killed?
Blackmail.
Hold on,
He was
slow down a
blackmailing
little bit.
Swarthmore.
Okay. So question 3. Why was he killed?
He's blackmailing Swarthmore. It's just I see Matt typing.
Okay. Tuttle was blackmailing Swarthmore, who was misusing his power of attorney over certain trust funds in his care.
So we got it.
Yep.
Wait, huh?
20 points.
We didn't know what he was blackmailing him for, but
We at least knew it was blackmail.
Question 4. Who was the killer's accomplice?
Livingston.
Correct. He supplied
Yeah.
Swarthmore with the poison.
Yeah, that was it.
I mean, we didn't. It does say
Knew it
Cedric
all along.
Livingston. I mean, the question was, did they supply him with the poison? Yes or no? Who? Question
Mhm.
5. To whom was Tuttle secretly engaged?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Correct. 20
Oh
points.
shit.
All right. Part 2. Why did Cartwright leave the office suddenly?
Heartbreak.
I'm out about the affair.
He received a note written by Swarthmore informing him that his wife and Tuttle were having an affair. Good call, Cameron.
okay. So we were right about who gave him the information. It wasn't
hmm
our original
Diggs.
thought.
10 points for that one. Why did Miss Spring see Tuttle on the morning of his murder?
Return the gift that he'd given.
Yeah. Specifically, it says to return a locket that Tuttle had given her.
I don't know
don't-
if we did that one.
We
Whatever.
never found that
It
little
didn't
locket.
say what the gift was at that.
It
so
might
we
have
would
said it's eventually, but
I'm
different
curious
thing.
if it said it eventually, so I mean, that's at least half points.
Yeah.
And then, what is Diggs'
Well,
hobby?
no.
Okay. All
I
right.
say that's. I think that should be full credit because we did say it specifically was a gift that is a part. It was the parting gift that Tuttle gave her. So it wasn't just some random gift. It was the parting gift, and she wanted to return it to him.
it was her relationship severance package.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we didn't know what exactly it was, and that locket could have held some like valuable information.
I still.
I'm cool with half points on this one.
So 5 points instead of 10.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I think we need to give ourselves more credit for that, but fine.
All right. And then, lastly, what is Diggs' hobby?
Cricket.
Yeah, we said cricket.
Gardening.
Damn
I
it.
said botany! I said botany! I
Someone
said
did say
botany!
That's so funny.
God damn it!
Oh,
God
that's
fucking
annoying.
damn it!
That is
Well,
really
because
annoying.
it makes sense as a red herring because we determined that it was a poisonous plant that killed him,
I
right?
know, but that is still
God,
really
If you
annoying.
had
Damn it.
brought that part up about it earlier instead of just being like, I don't know, botany.
Well, because
Had
I
And
didn't
then you
wait
gave
yourself
up. Hold
out
on, you
all
gave
aboard.
up botany to go with cricket because, well, cricket sounds good.
Yeah,
well,
you
cricket was
could,
for
if
the
you
wolves,
had,
God damn it!
if you would have said something about it being a red herring about the way the stuff was the poison, sure, but you didn't mention any of that.
Okay, but I also thought it was a stupid answer. 'Cause it's also
I
very
don't-
possible that that wasn't true.
I don't regret cricket. It was the funniest answer.
All right.
I just said a
But
quiet.
get noted in the record.
Don't worry, we have the record.
I just muted. He's like, for the record, I set his volume to 0 for a second.
All right. Anyway,
You
count the score, add the
motherfucker.
points obtained
You're a
by
piece of
answering
shit.
questions, then count the number of leads he followed, then compare the number of leads he followed of that of Holmes. 8 leads in this case.
Oh, we did 8.
Oh wow.
That's what we did.
Oh.
I'm willing to bet our 8 and his 8 are not the same 8,
That is fair.
but we still got all the answers.
Okay, hold on. Let me places visited. 8.
All right.
Sherlock. 2.
So total
8.
score, we got 105 or 115.
115.
That's pretty good. Beat Sherlock.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Jeez,
well,
Joe
we
is
win
like
Sherlock.
excited right now.
What would you like
Yes,
me
I
to
am.
read? What would you like me to read first? The synopsis of the solution or the leads that Sherlock went to?
The leads.
The leads.
Delete.
Okay.
The leads.
Holmes solved this case by following 8 leads. H.R. Murray, Mrs. Porter, Brenda Walker, August Heathcliff, Scotland Yard,
Oh.
Bell's Baths, Melvin Tuttle, and Virginia Monroe.
Okay, after Bell's Bass, it was which one?
Melvin Tuttle and
And-
Virginia Monroe.
I'm surprised
So-
Heathcliff was one of them.
Who the fuck was Heathcliff? I don't
Oh,
remember.
you know what?
That
That,
was one of the
the
other
last contract that was mailed out,
businesses.
he's
Yep.
the one that we think the merger's going through with.
So,
Oh, okay.
'cause looking back, if we didn't go to Meeks, because he really didn't give us anything.
Oh, he
Like,
did
we
give us a
could've-
tight. Or no, yeah, Meeks didn't give us anything. Yeah.
Yeah, Meeks didn't give us anything. So we could have gone to less clues than Sherlock.
We could.
we
but
we
didn't.
went to
Yeah.
Alice Spring, which he didn't go to. We got absolutely nothing, except maybe. Did she have did talk about the gift in that one? I don't have that
Our
written down.
last 3
Okay.
cases have shown me anything. It's that Sherlock Holmes actually sucks at his job.
Well,
he
it's
was
to give
high out
us
of
a
his mind
chance.
for this one, so you
And
gotta
and it was to
slack.
give us
Yeah.
a chance. Like you always have to remember that. The other one is so Porter. He went to Walker, who I just only had a Swarthmore kind of sus. So, August Heathcliff he got from Margaret Porter. That's who we got. Scotland Yard. We did not go to that one. What's the thing on Scotland
you get
Yard
from
on the
Scotland Yard?
informants? Like I know.
Scotland Yard.
I-
So
like,
I
what's
think
it
the
say
reason
on
why
there?
we would have went to Scotland Yard is because in the intro, Lestrade specifically said, "Go talk to Constable Lane,"
Yeah.
or Constable Lane was the one who was there. So I bet if we went to Scotland Yard, we would have just talked to Constable Lane.
You would
Got
maybe
it.
give us a few of the details that we had to go for other places to get.
Sure. So I would like to go talk to
Virginia
or just
Monroe.
Go to those. Yeah, I would like to go to those 3 clues after I read the synopsis, just to see what we
Mhm.
would have gotten from those 3 clues.
The 2 I also want to see that we go to was the
Sherlock and
Sherlock and the chemist.
chemist. Okay.
Just because, like, I'm curious to see what the chemist has to say about it. But
Chemist, door closed. Vacation.
All right.
it's like
We are-
don't count this as a place you went to.
We are gathered once again at 221 B Baker Street to listen to Holmes' explanation of the case. Sorry, 1 sec.
Yes, Holmes.
Probably he's gotta
Your-
He's got to get high real fast for the to be his Holmes.
Yeah.
I gotta get high real quick? Is that what you said?
Is that what Holmes is like? So yeah, you gotta be like that right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think I can do that.
Whip out a doobie.
Whip out a doobie, yeah. Okay. So, we are gathered once again at 221 B Baker Street to listen to Holmes' explanation of the case. Standing by the mantel, he draws deeply on his pipe and begins.
Told
While
you.
Mr. Tuttle's untimely demise was indeed tragic, his rapid rise seemed to me far more significant. 2.5 years from junior clerk to junior partner in one of the very best law firms in London? Most unusual, to say the least. Such was my thinking after Lestrade's visit. What about the 2 women? Asks Watson. Did you discount them as suspects from the beginning? Well, Miss Spring was in love with Tuttle.
Or, at least such an inference could be drawn from her reaction to Tuttle's death. Her use of his first name, for example. While poison might be considered by some as a woman's weapon, it is hardly the weapon in a crime of passion. As for Mrs. Porter, let me just say that I found her story singularly unimaginative, if it was to be considered anything but the truth. From Professor Murray, I learned that poison was indeed involved. More to the point, a very rare poison. Also, that none of the substances at hand actually contained it. Rather, Tuttle ingested it by some other means, and transferred traces to the tea, pipe stem, and biscuit. The discrepancy between the high concentration on the cup lip, as opposed to the relatively low amount in the tea itself, allowed for no other explanation. Pursuing the theory that Mr. Tuttle's swift advancement was instrumental in his murder, I needed more information on the circumstances of his promotion. Who better to supply that information than Mrs. Porter? From her, I learned 3 important things. First, Tuttle was no genius. Capable, hard-working, but hardly brilliant enough to explain his rapid rise. Second, a hint of a curious kind of nepotism. Tuttle's connection with Mrs. Cartwright presented an interesting scenario. At some time in the past, Tuttle was asked to escort Mrs. Cartwright to some social function as Mr. Cartwright was busy with business matters. Where others might resent such after-hours duty, Tuttle saw it as a golden opportunity. He was a charmer, and he used that charm to the fullest. Perhaps the relationship ripened into an affair. The note in Tuttle's desk hints as much. Mrs. Cartwright then went to work on her husband. Over a period of time, her unstinting praise had its effect on Mr. Cartwright. He began to believe, without really realizing how or why, that Tuttle was an extraordinary fellow. Brilliant, in fact, and deserved to be promoted. You have just outlined a perfect scenario for murder, says Watson. Husband finds out the truth, takes an unscheduled leave of absence, plans and executes a crime. True, Watson, replies Holmes, but there is an unanswered question provoked by the third bit of information. Both Mr. Cartwright and Mr. Swarthmore were party to the decision to promote Tuttle. Remember now, Mr. Swarthmore does not see Tuttle with Mrs. Cartwright's eyes. Why would he decide in Tuttle's favor? What did Tuttle have on him? In any case, while suspects abounded, there was still no solution to the method of the crime. Perhaps Miss Brenda Walker, the staff typist, would be able to shed some light on that score. She, Swarthmore, and Tuttle worked late last night. It took some doing, considering Miss Walker's volubility, but there I struck gold. The envelopes, and provided by Mr. Swarthmore. Tuttle finished the contracts, sealed up the envelopes, and was relaxing with his pipe. Miss Porter brought him his tea. She noted the trembling in his hands as he was lighting his pipe, the first symptom of the poisonous assault on his nervous system. Due to the potency of the poison involved, Tuttle would have to have ingested it immediately before Mrs. Porter's entrance. Since all other substances proved it negative, it had to have been the gum in the envelopes. The tea, although innocent itself, served to wash the poison down into Tuttle's stomach, thus accelerating the process. A brilliant plan, all things considered. The murder weapon, as it were, was mailed away to be consigned to the nearest wastebasket, totally untraceable in a day or two. Unfortunately for Mr. Swarthmore, one was posted locally. It was a simple matter to obtain Mr. Heathcliff's address from the directory, obtain the envelope, and test it for Chinaberry in my own lab. In one fell swoop, I had the murderer, and the method, but the motive remained a mystery. Some connection between Tuttle and Swarthmore had to be discovered, and so it was off to Scotland Yard to inspect the contents of Tuttle's desk. While there were a number of interesting items, the locker key from Bell's baths seemed the most significant. You recall that Swarthmore had an appointment at Bell's on the morning of the murder? After paying my fee to old Jack, I learned that Swarthmore was particularly interested in Tuttle's locker. He was looking for something. Also, Mr. Cedric Livingston entered the case, now a builder and land developer, but formerly a seaman. He sailed in the Orient, and probably in the South Seas. It took little imagination to see that Livingston was Swarthmore's link to the rare poison used in the crime. And if Livingston was party to the murder, he must have been party to whatever it was that Tuttle had over Swarthmore. What were they looking for in Tuttle's locker? Might a clue to be found at Tuttle's home? As I expected, Tuttle's flat had been thoroughly ransacked by the time I arrived. It was heartening to note, however, that not a corner of the place had been left unturned. It indicated that the intruders did not find what they were looking for. Had they, the debris would have ended up at the point where they found it. The letters from VM proved most significant. They tell an interesting story and explain Tuttle's voracious need to get ahead. VM, the initials on the more expensive of the two lockets, was the love of Tuttle's life, despite his other dalliances. Might not he entrust his valuable level of advancement to her? The return address on the envelopes was suspect, however. If the father objected to their liaison, it was probable that it was the address of a trusted friend and not her own. However, a quick look at the directory showed only one VM listed, Virginia Monroe, Ginny being a diminutive of Virginia. At the Monroe home, the why of the murder came to light. Mr. Swarthmore was using his power of attorney over certain trust funds in his keeping to undersell land to Mr. Livingston, which he in turn either kept for his own use or sold back to other trusts under Swarthmore's care for a large profit. Tuttle evidently discovered the scheme, probably quite by accident, and after compiling a dossier from the Office of Records, the notation Chancery Lane, 2nd floor, Disraeli O'Brien, on the slip of paper in the two trust files in his desk refers to the Office of Records. Tuttle confronted Swarthmore. Tuttle was paid off in cash, as his bank account attests, and more importantly, by being promoted. Perhaps Tuttle was dissatisfied with his share, or perhaps the simple fault of his knowledge was too much for Swarthmore and Livingston. And so ends the case of the Solicitous Solicitor, says Watson. All right. So, shall we go to August Heathcliff, Scotland Yard, Virginia Monroe, Sherlock, and the chemist?
Virginia Monroe. I think that one, because that one apparently like solved a lot of questions for him. Virginia Monroe.
One sec.
Is something wrong at work again, Mark?
Yeah, printer won't print anything.
Is there paper in it?
It says a weird error. I'll just take care of it tomorrow.
Did they Google what the error code is?
It says it's like out of ink and something, blah, blah, blah.
I would check the ink levels if it says it's out of ink. Just,
It says it's out of yellow ink.
Yeah, printers won't print unless they have all 4 types of ink for whatever freaking reason.
That's fucking lame.
It
Give me an
is.
old printer. Alright. Anyway. August Heathcliff, 53 Southwest.
What? Okay.
Going back to the clues that we...
Yeah, I said Virginia Monroe first, but because I want to answer
Virginia
the
Monroe.
I said that one
sorry.
answered like a lot of the questions.
Okay. Her address is 43 Southwest. Okay. All right. We arrive at the Monroe mansion and are told by the butler that Miss Virginia Monroe is indisposed and cannot see anyone. When we explain that we are on a murder investigation and that we have reason to believe that Miss Monroe may have some valuable information, the butler asks us to wait. It is only a moment or two before John Monroe appears at the door. He is a tall, thin man in his late 40s, immensely dignified in form and manner. He invites us in immediately, more from a desire to get us off his doorstep and out of sight of prying neighbors than from any real concession to hospitality. What's this about a murder? And how can my daughter possibly be involved? He asks in an imperious tone. We barely begin to explain before he interrupts. Tuttle. That popinjay. I knew he would come to no good. He met my daughter quite by accident some months ago, and he had the effrontery? I've never heard that word before in my life. The effrontery to introduce himself. He further had the unmitigated gall to come to me and ask for my daughter's hand in marriage. I threw the blighter out, and there's an end to it. My daughter has had no contact with him since, I can assure you. That's not true, Father. Miss Virginia Monroe stands atop the stairs. Her long blonde hair is disheveled, and her eyes show the evidence of prolonged weeping. She is doubtless aware of Tuttle's death, and that knowledge enables her to confess to her father. Mel and I met almost every Sunday in St. James Park, and we corresponded frequently. As soon as he could attain the position you required, we would have married. He was made a junior partner only last week. Her lower lip begins to tremble, but she is able to master her grief. Advancing towards us, she holds out a small black notebook. I think that this might be important to you, she says, handing it to us. While we glance at it, Miss Monroe and her father converse in whispered tones. Whatever Mr. Monroe's feelings towards Tuttle, his sympathy for his daughter is profound. His only thought is to comfort her. The notebook contains a detailed list of property transactions. A sample page reads, Lot 42, Metcalf to G. Hamilton, 2000. G. Hamilton to Livingston, 1500. Livingston to British Museum, 2500. British Museum to Metcalf, 2000. Lot 48, British Museum to Livingston, 800. Livingston to Featherstone, 1200. Lot 54, Mainhart to British Museum, 2000. British Museum to Livingston, 1200. Lot 55, Bank of England to Metcalf, 3000. 1600. Livingston to Mainhart, 3000. Okay. Yeah, there's that's the shady business stuff going on, for sure. All right. So, out of the other four, where should we go first? I think we should go to Sherlock last, or the chemist last.
Let's see. The other ones we didn't go to were August Heathcliff and Scotland Yard, right?
Correct. What should we do next?
Heathcliff.
All right. We are greeted at the door of Mr. Heathcliff's pillared townhouse by the butler. Looking at us from under drooping eyelids and down a long nose, he inquires as to our business. It seems that our reply is barely adequate, for it is only with a great deal of reluctance that we are shown into the foyer. I will tell Mr. Heathcliff of your arrival, if you would care to wait in the library. At the foot of the marble staircase, he turns back to us and says ominously, Please do not touch anything. Properly chastened, we enter the library. It is a vast room, lined with books from floor to its 12-foot ceiling. In the center is a long mahogany table, polished to a mirror-like sheen. The room is, as it is to be intended, most impressive, made all the more so by the fact that not a single spine of any volume has ever been cracked. Yes, what can I do for you? We turn to see a smallish man in his mid-50s. His head is a touch too small for his body, and his hands and feet are quite tiny. He presents a rather odd picture, all in all. Mr. Heathcliff, could you give us some information on the contracts being prepared for you and your associates by the firm of Sloane, Swarthmore, and Cartwright? Turning to the butler, Mr. Heathcliff explodes. What's going on here? Those contracts were to be kept highly confidential, and now it seems that everyone and his brother knows about them. He tosses his dainty hands up in exasperation and turns back to us. Oh well, I suppose there is no harm at this stage. As I told the other fellow, some 8 months ago, Sir Sidney Sloane undertook very delicate negotiations for a merger between several English and German textile companies. Once all the principals had made known their wants and needs and a common ground was agreed upon, Mr. Whitney Cartwright drew up the contracts to effect the merger. In anticipation of your questions, yes, a considerable sum of money was involved. No, the firm never directly handled any part of the money, accepting, of course, their fee, which was considerable enough, let me tell you. And, finally, I dealt exclusively with Mr. Cartwright throughout the contract stage, and, while I was surprised to hear of Mr. Swarthmore's involvement, it has had no material effect on the final form of the contracts. I do wish you fellows could get together. I'm sure a lot of time could have been saved. This other fellow, sir, who was he? Maitland? What was his name? Mr. Shylock Holmes, I believe, sir.
Yeah, like
Replies
nobody in
Butler.
London hasn't heard of Sherlock Holmes yet.
Sherlock, we correct. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective. Whoever, says Heathcliff. Tall man, funny coat. Seemed more interested in the envelope than the contract.
The
Sifted.
coat, not the
Seemed
hat?
satisfied with its odor, and asked to keep it. Most peculiar. Now, if that's all, Maitland will show you to the door. Mr. Heathcliff turns on his heel and exits the library. On our way out, we are tempted to overturn a vase, or some such, just to confirm Maitland's worst thoughts. However, we restrain ourselves. You come again, says Maitland, with all the sincerity of Henry VIII speaking the marriage vows. Damn.
History jokes.
We missed all the good
That's a
stuff.
good one.
Wait, hold on, weren't we supposed to find something about like the envelope that was like
Well, that's
poison
why
there?
Sherlock Holmes was interested in
No,
it.
I think the whole, like, hey, that's just confirming that the envelope was poisoned.
Mhm.
Of, like, why Sherlock went there, took the envelope, and left.
Oh, you already took the envelope? Okay. Oh, yeah, because he said he tested it in his thing.
Yeah.
So maybe if we go to Scotland Yard, it's like, oh yeah, Sherlock was here earlier and he told us this about the envelope that he took. I doubt it, but you know.
Right, so, 13 Southwest. Constable Lane is a polite young man who has already laid out the contents of Tuttle's desk in anticipation of our arrival. There is a sheaf of papers and a folder, which, after a cursory inspection, appears to contain information on textile contracts. It consists of correspondence between various companies and the law firm, as well as voluminous notes on the more arcane passages of contract. There is a key stamped with the name Bell's Baths, evidently a locker key. There are 6 tickets to a performance at the Drury Lane Theatre dated April 9th. 2 of the tickets are torn, the other 4 intact. There are 2 almost identical lockets, one inscribed to AS, with love, MT, is of inferior quality. The other, inscribed to VM, with love, MT, is solid gold rather than plated, and has a sprinkling of diamond chips in the shape of a heart. Constable Lane informs us that the second locket was still gift-wrapped when it was removed from Tuttle's desk. A sticker on the bottom of the box reads J.W. Benson, Ltd. There are 2 trust files, one for the British Museum and the other for Richard Mainhart. Each lists properties, stocks, bonds, and C, owned by the client, as well as a running record of all sales and acquisitions. As we move them aside, a slip of paper falls out. On it is written a series of numbers, 42, 87, 112, and the words, Chancery Lane, 2nd floor, Disraeli O'Brien. Upon closer examination of the files, we discover that the numbers represent the lot numbers of various properties owned at one time or another by both clients. Finally, There is a bill for a room at the Knights Arms Hotel, 15 Hampton Street. From the size of it, it appears to be a monthly rate. Okay, good to know.
Man, we learned a
All
lot
right,
right
so do
there.
we do Sherlock first, or do we do the
Chemist.
chemist?
Chemist.
Chemist, because it's gonna say it's closed, I bet.
What's the
Yeah.
address?
Oh, I wrote down the name of it, Ambrecht. Ambrecht & Co. at 32 Northwest. I totally spelled that correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, buddy.
32 Northwest?
Yep. To be fair,
Are
I
you
was
sure?
like, Ambrecht & Co. 30. That's what you said the co-chemist place was at the end of Cartwright's. And it was next to...
The door to the Cartwright home. The
Wait,
maid informs us.
that's what you have in the directory.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably
But
the
then
same
literally
thing, 'cause
that
once again,
door
it's right
is
next
to the
that.
same building. 32 Northwest is literally the same, like... So, what was the Ambrecht?
Where's 32 on the map?
Yep, 32 Northwest. Yeah, they're the same address.
That's lame.
All
Sorry,
right.
buddy. So yeah, they're on vacation.
So maybe the game is telling us like, oh, if you wanted to come here because of the chemist, they can't test it for you. But Cartwright lives here. Right. 42
Well,
Northwest. We arrive at 221B Baker Street and find that Holmes is out. Watson is there, and he explains that Holmes left not 10 minutes before. He came in fairly bubbling with excitement, humming no less. When I asked him about it, he pulled an envelope from his pocket and said, "Spring is in the air." Then he went over to his laboratory table and conducted a few tests. I think the envelope is still there. We walk over to the table, and indeed, the envelope is on the table. Then he left without another word, continues Watson. Holmes is capable of the most erratic behavior, I'm afraid. And it's just the envelope, Sloane, Swarthmore, and Cartwright, confidential, Mr. August Heathcliff, 53 Pont Street, Southwest.
Doesn't have any type of stuff about it being poisoned, huh? Oh well.
No.
I think we're supposed to infer that.
But
like,
it
hey,
basically
he was-
leads us to believe something's poisoned, just not food.
Well, it's also like, why was he so involved with the envelope? You know, like.
Mhm.
And spring is in the air could be about lilac. Because this is, what's the date on the case newspaper?
June 26th. So
Yeah,
summer.
I think they're somewhere at that point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking spring is in the air is like Miss Spring when I was like, no, she's not in the air. She is distraught. She is wrecked, emotionally, physically, and metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did not help that. Irregardless, we did not help that by going to her.
No,
Yeah, we didn't.
none of that.
I know, like, it wasn't the greatest choice going to see her, but whatever. I rolled number 2 on this die. Oh, there's nat 20.
Nice.
There's another nat 20.
20.
That's a 9. And we lost Mark. All right,
And
remember,
Mark, you know what?
don't get Spectrum Internet because it sucks, as indicated by Mark dropping out again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear anyone talking, so I just assumed that.
Did you not hear me talk about my nat 20? You said nice and then like dropped out.
Heard one nat 20. Did you get another one?
Yeah, and then I got like a 9.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, don't get Spectrum Internet. Indicated by the DM that over here that has Spectrum and drops out like.
Not by choice, Matt. Not by choice.
Never said you was by choice, just said you had it.
That's fair. That is fair.
Okay.
Well, we nailed that one, boys.
Yeah, we actually did.
Right, we did.
We went to 1, 2,
8.
3. No, I'm looking at the same places he went. 4, 5 of his.
5 of his 8 and still got the same conclusions.
And we even got some of the bonus questions,
We did.
which who knows if Sherlock knew who told Cartwright about the affair.
Yeah, seriously.
And I wonder if he knew anything about Dig's secret hobby.
Possibly.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard Cameron in a while.
I'm chilling. I'm vibing.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, so let me show you this little thing I did mark in the directory. I don't know if the filter applies to you, but we're gonna find out here in just 2 seconds. Now if I come up here and I say, oh, I only want to see the southwest, I'll clear out everything except SWs. And then you can filter by sort by the numbers. Does it apply to on your screen too?
One more time?
Look at your directory real fast.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I had this in full screen so I could actually see what you're doing. Okay.
So I wonder if I made the filter just for me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
Yeah, so
Oh, I
because
guess I could refresh.
and
Hold
if,
on.
well, if it's just for me, it's just for me then.
Yeah, it's just for you.
Okay, that way I can affect stuff without affecting you. Google Sheets has some weird stuff about that.
Anyway. That was a good case.
That was a good case. We did a really good job of that.
I liked it. It was a lot more.
It was
notes
a
than I
shit
was
case.
expecting.
Someone died.
Dude, somebody dies in everyone.
Yeah, well, maybe people should stop dying. Those would be good cases if they were like, hey, this kitten was lost. Can you find the kitten? That's a good case.
You haven't read much Sherlock, have you?
Right.
Like, literally his entire shtick is, somebody died. Okay, I'll solve it for you.
Tell people to stop dying. The only way for that to happen is to tell people to stop living. And that's deep.
But
I don't understand
And
why
I'm-
people are poor. Just
and I'm
stop being
14.
poor. Like,
make
it's-
more money.
You know, just like,
God.
no, you just stop being poor. Why are you homeless? Just get a house.
Finally. People get it.
Anybody who sees this clip later on, I'm being sarcastic.
I think that the audience should know at this point, or lack thereof, should understand that everything we say is sarcastic and nothing we should say should ever be taken seriously.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just know that some
Benchmark
people say
527 is taking it very seriously, and he's gonna report you.
he's one of my
Oh,
mods, I think. So like,
Damn.
That's a bot.
That's a bot.
Someone programmed a bot to watch.
Yeah, but there's someone else in
video.
chat who
Okay.
definitely is on my side.
Yeah, is it you?
Yeah, Trabic_14.
Uh-huh.
Alright,
Uh-huh.
this guy's gonna get booted.
Don't ban him. Seriously, I don't know how to unban him yet. You can
No,
time
I'm
him
not
out or
going to.
whatever.
I'm not going
Oh.
to.
Thank you. Please don't ban me.
I'm not going to. If anything,
I'm the only
Bring
one in
up
the
Panhammer,
comments.
Bring up Panhammer.
That is not true. I am in the comments, sir. Or this
Yes.
Darkmark 527 character is in the comments.
You're a moderator. It doesn't count.
But I am in the comments.
Yeah, but
I
do
don't
you
think
like
anybody's
those?
left any comments on my YouTube video yet. Thanks a lot.
Clearly moderating. You said no one's left you comments?
I
on
don't
YouTube?
know,
No
man. I
one
haven't
cares.
checked on that like since I left for California.
I left you a comment in person, Matt.
I
That
gave
doesn't
you a review, I just
monetize.
didn't do it in the comment section.
Call me a PG Michael Reeves. Which I am not using in my next one. Yeah.
Oh, video game.
You're like
news,
Linus
reviews, and
Tech Tips, but
discussions,
you talk
Matt.
about computers less.
All right, gentlemen. Another successful night of Sherlock. Excellent work, everyone. Applauds all around.
And if you guys were wondering, my print failed.
You don't say.
Good job. You did it. You cracked your case. And your print failed. Alec, are you slamming things while not on mute?
That was your audio that picked that up, not mine.
Oh, well then. All right, gentlemen. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm pretty tired, but excellent work.
Yep, one more case. Oh, my brother's gonna be here for it next week.
Oh, goody.
Last case
Well,
of this.
Yay!
Last case of this expansion or whatever it is for Mark, and then D&D the following week.
Woohoo! Maybe we'll finally know what happened to Trebek.
I think we all know he's
Okay,
dead.
so I'm gonna be out of town next week. for
Shut up,
Sherlock,
Mark.
so
We've
we're gonna
talked
push it
about
back to
this.
The following week. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I have to practice my duck walking.
Yeah, I could get my brother duck walking on stream.
Yep, that would take you from 3 viewers to 0.
I gotta go make sure I buy the 128 pack of crayons from Target.
Sherlock case 10 with the Marine. Definitely gotta solve it in a good amount of time.
I gotta make sure I get the box of crayons and also the big old tub of Play-Doh.
Big ol' total Play-Doh.
Make sure you take out the purple ones, though. They're bad.
Oh,
for you.
the purple ones.
Yeah.
Why the purple ones specifically?
Because it's a joke. Because they're all bad for you.
Yeah, but I was like, why just the purple ones?
Tastes like grape.
I say, aren't they actually made to be not that toxic for you because kids eat them all the time?
Yeah, I think they're non-toxic now.
I mean, probably in small doses. But if you
Yeah,
eat a whole
just like
128
Chinaberry poison,
pack,
you know, if you have to lick like 11 envelopes to die from it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you didn't have to
purple
lick
is
11.
Chinaberry flavored.
Purple is Chinaberry.
It smells of lilac.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
still sure it's pronounced Chinaberry. That is confirmed.
Does it have a
One
dash in
word.
it?
Behe
Oh,
mode.
man, your
No,
internet
just
took
one
a
word.
fucking
China-
crap. my
Oh,
dude.
I looked
What?
up what
Chinaberry is
effrontery.
one word.
I looked up what effrontery means.
Okay,
Brazen boldness or presumptuous.
that's fantastic.
Sounds British.
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm gonna also hop off. And
Borderlands?
go get something to eat. Maybe order Taco Bell like 6 times. We'll see.
Hey, I got it one on the first try this time.
Effrontery.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Better. And then there were two.
It's always us.
I know. Although it's not going to be me, at least on my laptop, because this is about to die, and I don't feel like grabbing my charger, so I'm going to hop on my phone.
Yeah, I'm about
But
to press
gonna pee first.
I'm about to press the end stream button anyway, so. Yeah, night everybody.